Hey everybody. I've heard a lot lately about feminism versus MGTOW. Um, Both these groups are really, one goes extreme towards one side, and the other is, MGTOW I consider a reactionary group towards feminism. I start off by saying this: feminism. Well, for example, there's this one lady, Anita Sarkeesian. She brings up things like in Gamergate, in video games, um, women are now being portrayed all over as sexual objects. And she gives certain examples, and she uses characters. Actually, you could do the same. I watched that, and you could do the same for the men. She depicts a video game where people can drag around people and throw them in boxes. But instead of picking up men and throwing them in the box, she probably tells the players to, okay, now pick up the woman, pick up the hooker that's in the corner, beat her down, and then pick her up and put him in that box. So she kind of, which of course the game has that potential to do that, and she exploited that potential. And then she tries to say that, well, this means that women are being looked upon as sexual objects. Now, of course, yeah, I would have to agree with Thunderf00t there, because Thunderf00t, he pointed that out in one of his videos, and he makes a point. He has a point there. That's, you can't then say that that's just exclusively for women. But then she can again say, well, but why is the video game structured in such a way that even allows for women to look like hookers? And then be able for, why doesn't the character just stop when he reaches the woman, that you can't push her down? But then, of course, they would say, well, the video game would become unrealistic. We have to make it possible. So there's all kinds of arguments going in there. The problem that I have with the feminists is now that they want to outlaw certain words, like the CUNT word and other words. That's where it gets into freedom of speech, and that's where I draw the line. When you try to use the law, and then when it comes to consent, let me just say this, how ridiculous that is. They honestly want to say that now you actually have to, a man has to have verbal consent every time he does something sexual, even to his wife. Body language isn't enough. For example, now I want to kiss my wife. I have to say, hey, honey, am I allowed to kiss you? And unless she says clearly, yes, you may, I can't do it. Body language isn't enough. So imagine this. I approach my wife and say, okay, can I come near your lips now? Yes, you can. Can I unbutton the first button on your shirt? Yes, you can. Can I do the second button? Yes, you can, darling. And so on and so forth. Imagine this. This is how ridiculous it gets with these people. This is feminism for you. And then, of course, but then on the other hand, we have MGTOW. MGTOW, men going their own way. That's what the acronym stands for. That they now say, oh, women exploit men by nature. They can't do any better. It's in their nature, so we just have to deal with it. And now that, I've heard this guy Sandman, speak on and on. He talks about the technology has allowed women now to sleep with more men than ever, so they just do it, and things like that. It's the mobile phone, so they always be looking for the best men. They're totally selfish. So he, now I, as a Christian, of course, men has a sinful nature, but that applies to the man and the woman. So you can't just say, oh, women, all these men do the same. You think men don't want to have as many women as possible and exploit them and use them, then move on to the next? You see the garbage right there? So these are both extremes. Now notice what both these groups have in common, including Thunderf00t. Thunderf00t, who is extremely anti, and okay, well, I commend him for some of the things that he says against feminism. The problem is Anita Sarkeesian and Thunderf00t both have one thing in common. They both justify their nonsense by evolution and common ancestry. It's always evolution behind all of these filthy, stupid ideas. You see, what these people need is Christ. That's what they need. We need a revival of Christianity. We need Christian moral values, and these nonsense wouldn't even exist, because Christianity is the full package. Christianity has it all. Okay? There's a balance. Okay? Men have their roles, yes, women have theirs, and that is how it is. It's a reciprocal relationship where each has their part, and there's nothing wrong about that. And I think this point needs to be pressed in society more than ever. Christians should not be afraid of even saying that man in a family, man is the head of the family. He takes the leader role. Women are supposed to be submissive. But this is not a law issue. It's not the government that is going to enforce and say, hey, the woman has to submit to the husband, like we see in many countries going on. That would be the other extreme. No, this should come naturally. A woman would naturally feel, because her body, her biology would tell her to submit to her husband. That's the real deal. That's how a sound and healthy relationship functions. And that's what we have to promote in society. And that every single Christian, okay, if they speak out, and they do it continuously, people will start to wake up, and the devil will come out of them. And they will have a wonderful relationship if they follow these principles. Now, I also want to commend Thunderf00t, though, for, I mean, he does speak out against Islam. I give him that much. I mean, he's one of the few atheists who actually had the guts to say that Islam is, and this is what annoys me with the feminists. They will say, oh, men are exploiting this and that in the West, but they will never talk against Islam. I have yet to see Anita Sarkeesian or even Lacey Green or any of those other famous feminists to spit on Islam. That's what I'm waiting for. Okay, yeah, Ben, go ahead, brother. Ben, are you still there, brother? Ben, can you hear me? Okay, I think he might be absent. Peripheral, did you want to add anything?
Okay, I'll say something.
Oh, okay, Phony B, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, see that Thunderf00t criticizes Islam. Yeah, he does, but he does it badly because he doesn't seem to understand the difference between Islam and Islam that is done by most of the Islamic people in the world today. What he's criticizing is the fundamentalist terrorists.
Nah, not really, because that is really what Islam is. That's what Muhammad did. I mean, what the terrorists are doing, by the way, is by far less than what Muhammad did, actually. So if you want to say that the terrorists are really that bad, then Muhammad should really be bad.
Yeah, but again, but most Muslims aren't that bad. That's the problem.
But wait a minute, Muslims don't define Islam. Muhammad and his companions do, you see.
Right, and all they said is that Islam is a faith where you follow Allah, you try to follow the series and all this sort of stuff. There's nothing in it that says that you have to go around and kill people.
Oh, there's absolutely everything in it. In fact, that's even in the Quran, let alone the Sirah literature.
Yeah,
right. Are you serious, Gary? That's like, are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into all that discussion really, because I've had a lot of. I mean, you can check out my other hangouts where I show verses, the hadiths, the sayings of Muhammad, and all of that. That it is that he commanded much more than ISIS.
Johnny's a former Muslim, by the way. Just
yes, I know he is. I'm just saying that the thing is that Muslims, on most part, understand those terms to mean that if somebody's doing violence against you, it's about self-protection. Because Muslims were a very...
No, that's the second stage. That's the second. That's not the final. The final stage is to call the world to Islam, and if they don't accept to live under Islamic rule, they have to put them to the sword. That's
right.
The last stage.
That isn't correct. Well, again, if you look at Turkey, for example, that's a Muslim nation that is mostly secular.
Every Muslim has to work towards building a Muslim nation that is ruled by Islamic rule. Every Muslim.
No, it's not. That's not true, though.
That is absolutely true.
Look at Turkey. That's an Islamic nation.
That's why Erdogan is working to make it a Sharia-compliant state once again, because that guy Ataturk was installed by the West. Actually, he was influenced by the West to the point of corrupting the Muslims. But now Erdogan is back, and he's a real Muslim, and he wants to restore it.
Oh, it's a real Muslim. See, again,
wait, Gary, can I just say something real quick? You remember what happened over in Iran? Remember when the Shah was there?
Yeah.
You saw what happened to the Shah, right? You saw how quickly that
he got killed. But again, the problem isn't Islam. It's when the West tries to come in and do something about it.
No. The West only comes in after Muslims plan and scheme What do you think the West should do if they always plan and scheme to take over the West? They've been doing this for 1400
They don't
years.
plan to take over the West.
No, man, they did it first.
The Muslims right before the West got there were doing drinking parties, for God's sake.
Man, I don't want to get on into this, Gary. Let's keep it to the topic because we can have other hangouts about this. I'm not gonna go into.
Oh, okay. So let's talk.
No, let's talk about. I mean, I talked about I brought that up. I forgot about the LGBT though. That party, of course. I mean, they can have all this stuff. I mean, it's one thing we can talk about whether it harms people or not. If it doesn't directly harm people, of course, we shouldn't use the law to do anything against them. So if they want to have their parades, their gay parades, what have you, let them have it. But the problem is we as Christians should have every right to call them out. We should have the right to have our own parades. We should have the right to symbolically be disgusted with homosexuality. We should have a right to symbolically, just like they do, satires of homosexuality. We should have the right to mock homosexuality. And all these different things that when people have the right to mock Jesus Christ, and we don't use the law to slam them to the floor, then we should have every right to mock homosexuality and every other evil act that exists.
But Christianity is a choice, though. Okay.
Homosexuality is a choice. That's a bogus argument, Gary.
Isn't a choice.
Homosexuality is a choice.
No, it isn't.
As far as we're concerned. Yeah, well, then we have a fundamental disagreement there.
Gay people cannot choose to be gay.
Well, I say they can.
All right, get a gay person in there and ask them.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Gary.
I don't agree that homosexuals don't have a choice. I strongly disagree with that. That's a bogus claim.
And Johnny, if homosexuality wasn't a choice, you wouldn't see homosexual people turning out to be straight. So it is a choice.
People are straight.
No, gay people turned out to be straight. I can show you videos, testimonies of people that turned out to be straight.
You can't turn somebody straight. You can pretend to be straight, but you actually are not.
Yeah, see, that's the biggest. That's
well,
one. Let me get into this
them.
for a moment, Benji, and then you can take it from there. I have heard all of this because the brain structure changes in that, and guess what? The brain of a murderer is different from the brain of one who hasn't consistently committed murder too, because the brain rewires itself according to the thoughts that people have over a long period of time. So that is why, if I say this, and that's why they even now say to be consistent, because the scientific community does want to look consistent. So they even say pedophilia, you can't really change it. Well, I say no, you can change it.
You can't equate the two.
No, I can't. Yeah, but the scientists say that if you have pedophile tendencies, you can't really do otherwise because your brain is wired. No, you can't. You can ask the scientists. That is what the experts say. I'm giving you what the experts say. That's why they say you have to castrate them.
Aversion therapy is
right. That's why they give the therapy. That's why they say you have to take castration medication. I understand that. But my point over here is that it is due to the brain structure being in a certain way. Now, my argument is, though, that all that is unnecessary. All you need to do is change your thoughts. You need to change your thinking process, and over time, you will gradually be set straight. You will be removed away from that perversion. Your brain will rewire itself. It will form new neural connections once again. Now that doesn't happen overnight. It may take many, many years once you have spent so many years thinking certain perverse thoughts. That is my
Why is it perverse to be gay?
Because the Bible says so. Because it doesn't reflect God's image.
It's in one place. And Jesus Christ doesn't say so.
Okay, so
it's so important. Jesus Christ, God on earth.
Don't even. Okay, now you're going to make this argument about. It's very clear, even in the New Testament. It doesn't matter whether it's just in one place. One place is enough because it's all inspired by God. Unless you deny that that place isn't inspired by God, which then is really a fruitless discussion. Then, because I really want to have Christians in here who take all of Scripture as inspired and not say, because I hear this all the time. Oh, well, Paul's writings don't really count. Paul's writings are not really that inspired. That's a bogus argument.
I just find it weird that people put Paul above Jesus, that's all.
No, that's a false dichotomy. Jesus was working in Paul. So then you would be saying that Jesus was unable to set Paul straight and he just allowed him to utter certain things and put that down in Scripture as if it was inspired. That's totally bogus. Doesn't make any sense. Hey, Jimmy, what's up? Hey, Jimmy. Can you hear us?
You just unmuted. I didn't hear anything from you, though.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hey Jimmy, what do you have to say about this whole feminism, MGTOW, LGBT issue?
Is there like a reference on it that I could see? Because I just kind of jumped into the conversation and was I'm happy to just listen until there's.
Well, sure. Have you heard about? Okay, yeah. Have you heard about Anita Sarkeesian?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard about Thunderf00t?
Nope. I know who that is, but not on the topic.
Oh, okay. Well, he's made quite a few. He started. He became famous for his "Why Do People Laugh at Creationist" series, and now he kind of now he makes videos on feminism most of the time, exposing feminism, that is. He has points that I even agree with him. I mean, there are some very, very ridiculous statements that feminists make, and they try to use the law. I mean, to secure these things. And that's where it gets really ugly, because then people cannot even critique them anymore. And their whole concept of consent is bogus, because they take consent to a whole new level. I mean, imagine this. The feminists actually promote that each time you touch your wife, you always have to ask her first, and she verbally has to say yes. So consent is not just anymore. But like, say you approach your wife and you say, I want to touch your lips now. And she doesn't say yes, no, then you can't. She has to first verbally say yes. Yes, my darling, you can.
Which is hilarious, because wasn't that the whole idea of the marriage vows in the first place?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, look at just how ridiculous it is. I mean, you want to unbutton her, button after button, you have to hear say yes and yes and yes again. That would even for the, I mean, most women, actually, there was a woman who came on TJ, the Amazing Atheist show, and she actually said, this is completely ridiculous. And she's an agnostic too. So it's not that. I mean, this is not even a Christian versus atheist issue. I mean, even anybody who has some common sense left in them, which I would argue, of course, stems from Christianity, they would see how ridiculous that is. But then, of course, we have problems on the other side too, which need to be addressed.
Okay, so if that's kind of the general topic, my 2 cents would be that I think part of the issue is that people, both in and out of the Christian community, are taking up the word feminism when they really should be taking up the word egalitarian, because with respect to politics, they believe men and women should have equal rights. That's egalitarianism, not that women are being oppressed as of being part of the female sex, and that therefore they must continue fighting for their rights, which they don't have.
Right. I mean, they always say that all men, one of their slogans is all men are evil, teach men not to rape.
Okay, but Johnny, that's not true. I'm a feminist.
Well, okay, I understand there's probably.
But you're probably not, Gary.
No, I am.
Well, he may be. There may be a spectrum. Let's hear him. Okay, what kind of feminist are you? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm a feminist who believes that women should have equal rights to men. Okay.
That's egalitarian.
We all agree with that, politically speaking.
There's rights that apply specifically to women that they have like, for example, if a woman gets pregnant, that's held against her. That's wrong. Okay. This is top of my head here.
Okay, wait. I don't understand that. What do you mean by
women that? Are sometimes portrayed as sexual objects when they really shouldn't be. I mean, there's something. I'm not getting sexual.
Let's just have one at a time, for me. You said something about pregnancy. What was that? What did you say? What was held against them?
That if a woman gets pregnant, that is used as a narrative to why she may not get a promotion, or why she may not get advancement in her job, or like a fair wage for a job, because she may or is pregnant. She may become or is pregnant. Again, no other sickness is seen like this. You don't, just because you get a cold or you get the flu, that's not seen as negative. Just because you have mental illnesses, that's not seen as negative. But somehow becoming pregnant, it's just like a double standard there.
Wait, hold on a second. I thought we were talking about rights.
Yeah, that is a
right. No, it
is because
being treated, your treatment in your work. No, let me finish. The treatment that you have in your workplace is your volition. You chose to have the job. That means you take responsibility for how they treat you there. You don't like being treated unfairly there? Don't work there. That's on you. That's not a right. that people have. And the fact that people think that they're entitled to this is ridiculous.
No, this
Yeah,
is
I would personally agree with that. I mean, the company boss should have the right to decide, but that's a different story. We can talk about that.
No, the boss doesn't have a right to choose. It's like saying he has a right to
But
choose
that's,
whether he,
you know, that I understand.
Does he own the company or not? If he owns the company, then he has the right to choose because he
Alright,
owns
so does
the
he have the
company.
right to not employ a black person?
I say he should have the right
Absolutely.
to, but that's a whole other
Absolutely, he
different story.
does.
He can't discriminate based
And
on
there
race.
are states actually in the United
No,
Isn't it true, Jimmy, that there are
that's
states that allow for that? In
Yeah,
the
let's make it a helpful distinction here.
Yeah.
Discrimination is wrong where it's imposed by a higher authority against people's will. Okay, that's wrong. When the government was
absolutely.
imposing certain rights, or excuse me, when the government was allowing for certain rights or giving certain privileges to people, and there was discrimination involved, such that you had white people being given certain privileges, but black people were not given those privileges, that is wrong. However, when you're talking about voluntary contracts, like a job, where you choose of your own free will to sign that contract, I don't give a damn how they treat you. You signed the contract. It's on your head. Don't sign the contract if you don't want to be treated unfairly. You can just walk away from your
That's
job
a
whenever
hard
you
view,
want.
but I have to agree with Jimmy, because if we don't do that, we open up a whole other can of worms, and it gets
Okay, but again, there are restrictions what one can and cannot do in the workplace, and that include that includes to
But that
employees
should be
and
decided
employees.
solely by the boss. That's not the government duty to
No,
decide.
but the government does have restrictions upon the boss of what he can and cannot do.
Yeah, but that's kind of
wrong.
Disagree then.
No, it isn't wrong. Because that's how you get a minimum wage. That's how you get a fair wage for
Yeah,
working.
I believe all those things are wrong.
That's
Minimum
not-
wage is wrong.
that's how
Fair
you get-
wage is wrong. They're immoral.
Why is that immoral?
Because you are forcing someone to give someone else something that you do not owe them against their will. That's theft.
But you do owe them. They've worked for you. Therefore,
No, false. People are not owed anything at all. Nothing. You have your rights to exist, and you have your rights to own what you own. Period. That's it.
Okay, but so you say that people shouldn't be paid for work you do.
Not if they signed up for that job and the person told them, no, I'm not going to pay you right. No, then they don't have to. If let's say that let's say there's a business owner and he says, I don't like women, so I'm not going to pay women even if they decide to work for me. Okay, who's the person who's the person who we should be blaming for not getting paid? The women who are stupid enough to work for this person, or the person who's saying that he's going to discriminate openly to everyone in his contract?
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, you go after the boss because again it's his discriminatory attitude. Again, the thing is that you can't say that I'm not going to pay somebody, but I'm going to pay somebody else. Again, you either have to pay everybody or you have to pay nobody. Again, and you can't just say.
No. See, that's already you're intervening too much in the free market. See, that's the real problem. You're intervening.
I'm a
too much in the
socialist.
free market. That's a big problem. I don't like. I despise socialism actually.
Why? Socialism is a good.
Because it has caused a disaster. That's where the fascist regime came from, of Stalin, Pol Pot, and Mao.
They were communist
country?
socialists.
Man,
Without
only over my dead body would I want that system again.
Without even going into issues of history, and I agree with Johnny on this, but without even going into issues of history with respect to politics, socialism is wrong because it's immoral. It has an immoral view of responsibility and human actions. For example, the idea that someone can come into your house, point a gun at you, and tell you that you have to give someone else money because they signed a contract where you openly told them you would not pay them money for doing something. That's outrageous.
Okay, but nobody's saying point a gun. We make laws about it and we take them to court and then enforce them.
Behind every law is a gun. Behind every law is a gun waiting to make you follow it. That's what laws are for.
But again, if you don't want to follow laws, there's another country you can go to. There's another place you can go.
That's ridiculous. That's like someone showing up in your. That's like a bunch of people.
You can't
No,
shoot.
let me make an example. This is what you're saying. let's say it's your birthday, right? Everybody comes over to your house. It's your birthday. Then everyone in your house decides, hey, we're going to vote. We're going to lock you up in your own closet. By the way, this is your house we're in, but we're going to lock you up in your own closet unless you decide to play all the retarded games that we want to play, even though you don't like them, and this is your birthday. Okay, that's what you're telling me. I have to move to a different country because a bunch of people who happen to be in a nearby location with me all agreed together as a form of mob rule that I have to follow a bunch of these laws. And if I don't follow them, they'll lock me up or shoot me. What sense does that make sense? Or excuse me, what sense does that make?
Did I just say that I agreed with that? Again, as a socialist, I do not agree with violently persuading somebody to follow the laws that is going to be imposed.
Those are the only kinds of laws that exist.
By the benefits of the system we have. The thing is,
those are the only kinds of laws that exist, Gary.
No, but it doesn't have any flaws. The thing is the socialist system has no flaws. The capitalist system does.
Okay, we can talk about that. Now, okay, let's go there. Okay, you said no force. There should be no. You said there should be no force used when the law cracks upon somebody. Is that what you said?
It depends. I mean, let's say we've got a shoot. Let's say we've got a shoot in the mall. Then.
No. Let's take your example. There's a worker now. I'll take the worker example. So the worker says in your system, in your country that has your system ideally, there is a worker and he decides not to employ women. And he straight out says, I don't want women in my company. And if they do decide to work here, well, then I'm just not going to pay them, period. Now, what would be the first step? What should happen to such a person?
The women workers should sue him for discrimination.
Okay, they sued him. Now?
The courts will make a judgment and that he has no basis to discriminate on.
Okay, fine.
And order him to pay out a lot of money.
Okay, pay money. So now he has to pay a fine to the women, right?
Yep.
Okay, what if he refuses?
Every time he does it, he'll get a bigger fine.
Okay, what if he says no every time and he doesn't give the money? What then?
He gets a bigger fine then.
Okay, how are you suing?
Let me get this here. Well, okay, he refuses that too. He says no, I'm not going to pay. What then?
Still, increase the fine even further, triple it.
But he doesn't care. He never cares. He always says, "Oh man, they can say it all they want. I'm not going to pay."
Okay, then you quadruple it, and you keep on doing it until he does decide to pay.
But he doesn't pay. So he just sits back in his chair and he laughs. You can increase it all you want, but he's not going to pay. So what? Now what? How are you going to get the money from him?
Bad. We just carry on. Well, then if he runs out of business, that's his own problem.
No. It's not him running out of business. What Johnny is trying to point out is that if your system doesn't imply force, then you can't make him come to the court to be sued. You can't make him pay if he even decides to come to the court. You can't make him do anything.
Well, if he decides not to come to court, you have the trial without him, and then you can freeze his bank account and take from that. It's something that the government has the power to do.
Okay,
so that would be force.
Okay, that's one thing. You freeze his bank account, fine.
Sure.
But what if the bank decides no, we don't. We have a policy that we don't freeze people's bank accounts. What then?
You're the government. You override the banks because I live in Britain, so basically the banks are regulated by the government here.
Okay, well, in that case, he decide to open a Swiss account, so he has all his money flowing to a Swiss bank account. What then?
But then you tell Switzerland to freeze his bank account.
Well, but Switzerland says no.
Hold on, we don't have to go. We don't have to go this far down the rabbit hole with the analogy here. The problem is already there with saying that we can freeze his bank account, because now you're saying, okay, we're allowed to steal things from him because
we're not stealing anything. We're not touching a penny. The bank account is sitting on low until he decides to change his behaviour.
That's like saying, oh, I'm not stealing. I'm just removing him from his house and keeping him from getting from it. But I'm not stealing from him. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Right. No, but that's okay. But let's see. Okay, that's why I said I give him that. So he makes a Swiss. He knows this, and he makes a Swiss bank account. They have a policy that they don't listen to any other country. They just have it.
Okay. Well then I make Swiss bank accounts illegal for my citizens, and says if he wants to continue trading, he has to go somewhere else.
But he won't. No, he won't move. He will say, no, I'll stay here.
Well, then say then you're going to sit in jail.
Oh, so now you're going to send him to jail. Okay, now how would that work? Because now, so now you will have a... how are you going to send him?
It's called tax evasion. Because what a Swiss Bowls account does, it doesn't pay the
taxes. It's not that he's going to not pay the taxes. He's going to pay the taxes, but the rest of the money he will put in a Swiss bank account. That's what I'm saying. It's not that he's not going to pay taxes. Of course he's going to pay the taxes.
Okay, well then you basically freeze his assets so he can't trade.
That's stealing.
All right, enough, Gary. Now listen, I've had it, but this is just silly. Gary, stop it.
Hey, bro.
Why don't you just become a cop, bro? Why don't you just become a cop? Or go work for the government and get involved with all of this forcing human beings to do things against their will. I don't think you understand that you're living in a world that is deceived and that these governments are literally slave masters to humanity. You are a slave. The only difference between us and the slaves of continental U.S. are the fact that you don't know you're a slave. With that being said, there are some of us of which whom have woken up and realized that we are slaves. What they're showing you here is that you do live in a dictatorship, whether you choose to believe it or not, whether you choose to see it or not. But that's not even the problem, because the problem is that even if you did figure it out, you'd be okay with it. You don't care. You are one of these atheist mentality people.
I'm an atheist.
That seem to think, wait till I'm done. I'm sorry, did the middle of my sentence interrupt the beginning of yours? Here's the problem. You have an atheist mentality that you're living in a wonderful world and the government are all for us and on our side and they're amazing people and thank God for the government and thank God for the police and thank God for the military and big business is great and science is being honest and everything is wonderful, when the truth of the matter is that you're the problem. Until humanity wakes up and realizes that our freedoms, our peace, and our lives have been taken over by people in charge that you aren't even prepared to admit exist, let alone get up and fight against. What these men are telling you is that you don't have a say as a human being. What you have is an agreement. You are either in agreement or you are against them. And we are vastly coming to a place where those that are against them are going to start feeling some serious heat. There are so many scams that are being laid off on across this world, from government to human being, that you made a statement, if you don't like it, move. That, to me, that is extortion. To me, that is no more than a thug mentality. That's like telling a guy in the ghetto, if you don't like that I sell drugs in front of your house, move. If you don't like that I'm committing crimes in the neighborhood, get out of the neighborhood. This is your mentality. These governments are criminals, Gary. So what you're doing here, and it makes me sick to my stomach, what you're doing is you're sitting here backing up governments that are known criminals. Do you believe the government lies? And I want a one-word answer. Do you believe the government lies?
Do I believe the government lies? Sometimes, yes.
Then they lie, Gary. Not sometimes, yes. Then they lie. So what you are doing is you are backing, applauding, voting in, and vouching for liars. You're not a Christian, Gary. I don't want to hear another word out of you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Rand. Well, okay, let's continue. Where did I leave off? Okay, I asked you. Okay, fine. So I made that clear. It's not the tax issue. So he pays those, but then the rest of the money he goes to the bank account, but then he refuses to pay. So what did you say? You said that then they would get him to jail. But now, how would they do it? Now he's in his business. He's in his company. Okay, he goes there every day. What is the first step involved in getting him to prison? Go ahead.
What's the first thing? Well, you see if there is an underling in his business that can take over, and if it's in the federal government's interest to keep that building in the front because it's a successful small building, you take it over in the interest of the people, and then put that person in jail. And then until you could put somebody else who's in the company into that role, who'll pay everybody fairly. Okay. So somebody who's an underling.
Okay, so now the person, how will you get a hold of the person? How will you exactly get him? Because he's not going to freely go into jail, so how are you going to take him to jail?
What do you mean he's not freely going to go to jail?
Meaning,
jail is not something you freely go to. You get
right. So how will you get him there? That's what I'm asking. What is the mechanism of getting? You what? Say it again.
Arrest him.
Arrest him. So the police, let's say 2 police officers come to his building, right? They will say, "Where is the chief? We have come to arrest him," right?
Pardon me, sorry. So he gets put. So yes, he gets put in jail.
Okay, 2 policemen show up either at his house, or at his workplace, and say, "Sir, we have come to arrest you," right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now he says, "I'm not going with you." Now what are you gonna do? He sits there in his chair and he says, "I am not going with you." Now what?
Hey, real quick before who's Vindex?
He's an atheist. He's a good guy.
Is that the same guy that came in here just a few
Yeah,
minutes
yeah,
ago?
I think I know Vin.
There's no such thing as a good guy, Gary. Act like a Christian.
Okay, Ren. Yeah, go ahead, Funny. What? Okay, please explain. What happens next?
Okay, he gets put in jail for an announcement.
No, wait. We are not there yet. Let's take it one step at a time. He's there in his chair. The 2 police officers are there. He refuses to go to jail. Now what?
You arrest him, and then you get him on arrest.
But how? But how? Wait. Okay, arrest how? Now what will the police officers do?
They still try. They arrest him using force.
Will they walk up to him? Will they come closer?
Yep.
And closer?
Yep.
And closer?
Yep.
Will it come to physical contact?
Johnny, what?
No, wait. Okay.
What the heck's the point in this?
Now the moment.
Force. They're going to use force to get the guy. What the? I mean,
just a moment here, man. Just a moment. I'm not done. Now listen.
It's just a conversation getting stupid, man.
No, it's not. I'm making a point. So he ultimately, what will happen is they'll get physical with him, right? They'll physically touch him. Now, what if the chief says, "If you touch me again, I'm gonna slam you 2 guys to the floor. Don't ever get physical with him."
Sorry.
Now what?
Do you know what you have to do as a police officer? You have to know how to restrain people.
Okay, but Gary,
right? But I'm asking you. But I'm asking you the question.
The point that Johnny's trying to.
Will we know how to deal with 2 trained police officers?
Gary, what Johnny's trying to make clear to you is that you contradicted yourself earlier when you said that you were against force.
Exactly.
You are clearly
and now physical
you are
force
clearly
involved,
in favor of force. You are very, very obviously in favor of someone forcing someone else against their will for no good reason. No, just
you know how the law works, right? When somebody arrests, the difference between forcing.
See, now he's gonna have his talk around.
Arresting somebody and they're breaking the law.
See,
ridiculous.
Totally missing the concept that's being questioned. Okay. This is the issue. This is the issue. We were talking about feminism, and I was bringing up the point that someone is not owed someone. excuse me. Someone is not owed something economically just in case they exist, or just in case they're a human being, or just in case they have a penis or a vagina. Okay, none of that gives you the right to claim ownership of someone else's property. That's ridiculous. So, when someone owns a business, okay. When someone has as their property some kind of industry or corporation or location where things are sold, so on and so forth, however you would like to define it, okay, and they open up a contract with someone telling them, okay, I'm not going to pay you like I pay everyone else. I'm going to pay you less, okay, and it's because you're a woman, and it's because you have this racial quality, so on and so forth. Whatever it is discriminatory, okay? That person has absolute right to do that because they own their business and they are operating within the grounds of their business when they do that. They have absolute sovereignty over their own business. If you don't like that, don't be part of their business. But just as I in my own house and everyone else in their own house and everybody who's in their business has moral justification to run their house and run their business as they see fit. Do not go into their house or do not join their business unless you are willing to be mistreated as they openly allow for. Okay? The person who should be held culpable for stupidity in this case is the person who accepts a contract that openly states it will mistreat him or her, that person, because of some discriminatory prejudice on the part of the business owner. Okay, but however, it is absolutely ridiculous to say that you can forcibly steal from someone. That is, you can take something that they own without their permission and give it to somebody else just because they didn't run their home or their business or some other thing that they owned the way you wanted them to do so.
Okay, yes, we can do that. I'll explain why. Okay, do you know who Donald Sterling is?
No, I do not.
Okay, he's a person who, until recently, was the GM of the LA Clippers basketball team. Now, he was forced by the NBA to relinquish ownership when it came out from his own words that he has a bit of a problem with Hispanic and black people. Now, this is a organization who run a sport who are forcing a person who is in full legal right to own a company to relinquish that the ownership company because of views he holds. So yes, we do have that right. If something is not being done into the law, you have a right
that
to
argument is fallacious.
force that person to.
Well, he says obviously he has a
that
right
argument
according
is-
to the United Kingdom law, but the United Kingdom law it's really
Hold
a
on.
damnable
Wait a
law.
second.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not arguing.
We're not
This is
arguing that
totally-
the United Kingdom law doesn't exist, but that's a damnable law. It's a law that should be spat on.
Right, right.
That's
Okay,
so Gary-
Wait. The United Kingdom law. Wait. Hold on a second. I think I'm following Gary what he's saying. Are you talking about obviously Donald Sterling, the guy from the NBA, right? That's here. That's not in England.
America.
Right. This is over here,
Okay.
guys.
This is
Yeah, even in the
irrelevant.
United States, unfortunately,
Wait, let me
they are
finish.
getting close. They are getting close because of the liberals. You know, they are getting
This
close.
is utterly irrelevant. I'm not
That's what I feel.
making a point about United States law. I'm making a point about ethics.
Right.
It doesn't matter what
Exactly.
the law is. I don't care what the law is. Quite frankly, I could give a damn about what you think the law is.
Right.
The point that I'm making is that no one is morally justified in forcibly taking someone's property without their permission and giving it to someone else just because they used that property discriminately. That's up to them. They have the freedom to do so. I don't give a damn what your law is.
Well, I'd have to agree with that. Because
Okay, so
you get
should
into a whole-
Donald Sterling be made to give up ownership of the LA Clippers? Yes or no?
What? Repeat that again.
Should Donald Sterling have been made to give up ownership of a basketball association?
I don't know because I don't know
that's
that
not
example. How about we use an example that I'm
Okay.
familiar with?
All
Okay.
right.
No, hold on, but Gary, can I just say something very quickly before you say something? He was forced to sell the team. It wasn't that he gave up the team. It wasn't like he just gave it up. He was obviously he sold it. He got a lot of money for it, which but yeah, he was banned from the league and those kind of things happened. But then again, we're talking about a basketball because you're talking about a league where they have certain rules in place, and obviously he broke one of those rules. I mean, I don't see how he could possibly be an NBA owner with his kind of worldview, anyways. With his mentality. But again, I don't see. I mean, you're right though. I honestly think he deserved to get pushed out in that case. But then
Well, I
again,
don't
that
know
was
about
that
the
league.
case. I'll have to look into
Their
But
rules, they had a set of rules in place for that though.
Faithful. This is a different topic. This is a topic about
Okay, right.
social
But
norms
I
in
don't know where he's
basketball.
going. All right. I just.
Okay, but that's the whole point. We have business practices, a business law, and the ways that people behave.
I
think it's
don't care
great
about ways that people
people
behave. I
practice.
care about ways people ought to behave.
Yeah, but this is a way that a lot of people ought when they run a business.
Sure,
Not outside
okay,
the business,
that-
you can see that women.
That's the
should
claim.
be-
What is the argument that that's the case?
Okay, if it was outside of his business, he can think all he wants that women should be subjugated. He can even be married to a woman who's happy to be subjugated. Okay, that's not in the confines of running his business. Okay, when he's running his business, he is liable under law and ethical systems that he has to pay everybody the same.
I understand that that's the law.
Okay,
I'm waiting for.
I'll allow you, but I'll just say I'll address that too, because I think that's coming, that even in the home, a husband can't use certain words towards his wife anymore, like you have to submit to me, I'm the boss, and she could sue her husband for defaming or degrading her. I think that is also coming.
That's true.
So
So women actually are subjugated in their own home.
Yeah, okay, but again, so Gary, the issue is you keep bringing up the fact that we have these laws. Okay, I grant you that. That has nothing to do with the topic. The topic is, are those laws just? You have not made an argument that they are just.
Yes, they are just.
Okay, on what grounds?
Because again, discriminating against somebody is not right. Because again, because there is no reason for it. Again, there's no reason why a woman should get paid less than a man. There is no legitimate case to be made there.
according to whom?
Okay, hold on, wait a second. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here's the issue. Is it right? No. However, the person who's doing this discriminatory act is within their complete legal rights to do so, because he owns or she owns or whoever it is, whatever the pronoun to be used there is, the person who owns the business has sovereignty over that business, and where they have openly stated a contract within which they've admitted to being discriminatory, and somebody else takes up that contract, then we have to hold that person, the one who has taken up the contract, responsible for their own actions as subjugating themselves to the discriminatoriness of the boss. Okay, that's their fault, not the business owners.
Okay, that would only be true if the person that got hired is aware of the boss's prejudices.
Except that it's their responsibility to be aware of everything in a contract.
The boss doesn't tell you that he doesn't like gay people.
So what?
It's not to hire gay people.
Oh well.
How are you as a gay person going to know that's how he really feels? He'll just.
But what I'm saying is.
Hire you.
Right, and what I'm saying is that's too bad. Like, that's the world we live in. Oh well,
there's no way. Exactly. The reason why we have laws is because we have to have a set of rules established so that the most people can get the most benefit.
Yeah, but these rules
that's ridiculous.
Rules are very dangerous.
That's not ridiculous. That's society.
No,
and if you don't like it, then you're going to have a mob mentality come and take what you have. That's just the reality of where we live in.
The rules
laws do not accomplish the goal of giving giving the most amount of people the best opportunity that they have. Laws have never accomplished that goal.
That's what they're established to try to do. Because
they fail every time.
What do you think you're going to have if you don't have laws? See, the best system that we can create, the best system that we can create in society is a combination of socialism and capitalism.
No, there's no such thing as a best
situation. If you have just open blank capitalism,
if I have socialism, then I want to puke.
You're going to have homeless people all over the place, more than you ever see.
David, what do you see right now?
You're going to have a more despairing gap between the rich and the poor than you've ever seen. If all you had is capitalism and just nothing but capitalism, we have to have socialism and capitalism together.
Yes, because it's not like there aren't places on this planet where everybody's starving and dying out already. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes perfect sense.
I'm talking about
places are in America. But that's the whole point.
Society where there's like lots and lots of starving people. I don't know what kind of government they have.
No, I'm saying there's not a single society on the planet that doesn't have starving people in it.
I'm not saying that there wouldn't be any. I'm saying that there'd be a lot more.
No,
you would have a lot more.
Percentages. That's what I'm saying.
On the other extreme, if you have socialism, you have similar problems.
The United States had the
most capitalist,
together. Right? There was no country more capitalist than the United States, and it has the least number of starving people. So,
what? Hold on.
And the highest number of productivity at that.
Here's the issue.
How's that?
If you have
we're talking about the morality. We're talking about the morality behind people being held responsible for their actions.
Okay, and why shouldn't people be held responsible for their actions?
And that's what I'm asking you, because that's what you keep insisting, Gary.
What I'm advocating.
No, you're insisting that people who sign a contract should not be held responsible for signing that contract. That's what you would like to argue. That's what socialism does, is it makes people, it removes culpability from people who should be held culpable. That's the issue with...
No, because the person signing that contract should not be culpable. They're an employee.
Really? They didn't sign a contract promising the boss certain things?
They signed a contract promising the boss certain things. Absolutely, they should be responsible, man.
This is the madness.
Contracts exist in real life.
Here's the madness of socialism.
What? That people who are in charge and actually pay the wages and make the laws should be made responsible for the laws and wages they pay.
No, what you are suggesting, Gary, is that if I sign a contract, I don't need to be held culpable for that, even though by signing that contract, I just communicated a great many promises to whatever was involved on the paper.
That contract's unfair.
It doesn't matter. I signed it.
Yeah, well, did you sign that contract with full intent and knowledge to keeping those agreements?
It doesn't matter.
What doesn't matter? Maybe you're not legally of age to sign a contract. Maybe you're not aware of what's in the contract.
Doesn't matter.
Of course.
Wow. Of course it matters.
What if you got mental problems?
Oh well, that's the world we live in. Okay.
I mean, that's why we have laws to protect people, from being abused by people in power.
Laws don't protect people. Laws are.
Yes, they do. Imagine what would happen if you didn't have laws. You'd have anarchy.
Oh my goodness, that's.
I mean, if laws don't protect.
Yeah, you've just listed a category with
show me the debt rates of countries with no laws versus countries with laws. I can't even
believe you're arguing that.
You don't have any proof whatsoever that laws don't even protect people.
Yes, I do.
What? What is it?
That laws don't protect people? There's no proof of that?
Yeah, there's no proof of that whatsoever.
The reason why some people don't break laws is because they don't want to go to jail.
David, he's agreeing with you, but you're totally misunderstanding him. No, there is no proof that laws protect people because laws are writing on paper. Writing on paper doesn't cause me to do anything whatsoever.
Oh, you're splitting a hair there, dude. This is annoying when people do that. Your hair splitting. You know what I mean. I know what you mean.
No, if you mean something other than the concept of a principle or it's writing on a paper, I have no idea what you mean by a law.
A law is something that's written down and that people follow.
Goodness, man.
Okay, so it's something that's written down on a piece of paper, and the statistical average is that people choose to follow it, even though it doesn't actually cause anyone to follow it. Which is what you were arguing earlier.
Not following it is that you have some sort of penalty applied depending on what the law is and how serious.
So that doesn't. Okay. Now we're talking force. The threat of force does cause me to follow things. Laws do not cause me to follow anything.
That's why I pay my taxes.
But threat of force.
Because I don't want to get trouble.
This is literally just semantics.
The only reason why some people are going to comply is because they don't want the alternative of not complying.
Okay, I agree. But here's the issue. This is in logic what's called an ignoratio elenchi. You just proved something that you were not trying to prove with your argument. Okay, your argument does not establish that laws are useful and that they cause people to follow them. What you established is that when they are backed by an actually causal principle, which is that of threat of force, then they actually have some legitimacy. But the problem is that threat of force can be used against laws just as much as they can be used for them. So laws then become totally useless on your own argument.
And that becomes, I don't even know why you're even saying the stuff you're saying. The thing is, it just is what it is. Because you have to use force in this world to get people to comply.
No, I don't believe you.
Some people don't want to comply, and if they don't comply, it goes against the greater good.
Okay, I agree with you, David, but the problem is that you were making a point before about laws, and you just defeated it yourself.
I wasn't trying to defeat anything. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what you're doing here.
Okay, the issue is that
me and Jimmy are discussing the benefits and losses of socialism.
He's saying I'm defeating my argument, but I wasn't even making an argument. I was just stating a fact of life.
The topic was as to ethics within economics and socio-political relationships, such as business contracts.
I'm sorry, but it sounds to me like you're making a difference where there is no difference.
Okay.
Going back to the issue that I have with you, Gary, the problem is that your socialist concept makes people who sign contracts non-responsible for something they should be held responsible for. And if someone can get away with something and not be held responsible for it, then neither should the business owner be held culpable for his discriminatory acts.
Okay. Right. There's a difference, between doing something that the business has to legally do. Let's say, for example, all right. Let me make it a difference here. Okay. Let's say you're doing an IT business. Let's do IT just as because it's a business that I understand. Okay. Let's say you're running an IT business. Now, as a part of the IT business, you probably have to sign. Everybody has to sign the Data Protection Act. I don't know if you are a Security Act. I don't know what you have in America. I assume it's something like that. Is that correct?
Let me ask you a question here because this is important. Do you have to sign that paper?
In the UK, yes.
You have to sign that paper. You could not.
If you go into IT and you're dealing with people's information, let's say for example, you are dealing with people's addresses, national insurance numbers, bank accounts, that sort of thing. You have to sign the Data Protection Act and stuff like that to say that you won't use that information outside of work.
Okay, so in order to be a part of that system, if you want to freely choose, talking about responsibility here, if you want to freely choose to be a part of that system, you have to sign that paper. Is that what you're telling me?
Everybody has to sign it, yes. Okay.
No, everyone who wants to be part of that system and who chooses to be part of that system has to sign it. But not everybody has to sign it.
If you work in IT, you deal with people's personal information, yes. You have to sign it.
If you choose to work at IT.
Yeah, so if you, well, not necessarily IT, but if you're working with people's personal information, yes.
Okay, so you agree with me. You agree with me that if the person chooses to work at IT, and chooses to be a part of that system, and therefore chooses to sign that paper in order to be a part of that system, then yeah, all that follows. All that is connected.
Okay, but that is mandatory employment law that you have to sign that because you're dealing with, because it's implemented against protection of personal data. Okay, it can be harmful to the person that you say against and stuff like that. Okay, it's in the best interest of everybody that personal data stays personal. Okay. That's one thing. Okay, that's a personal law you have to decide to be legal. Okay, that's legal law that you have to do as part of dealing with personal information. No, can't do. Sorry. But let's go to employment law. Now, employment law works the same way in that you have when you become a business, you have to sign. You have to sign a piece of paper saying that you're going to pay everybody the same wage. You can't discriminate. These are laws that you have to do when you run a business, okay? Because, especially, let's say, for example, you're a limited business or you're a privately run business, you'll have somebody that you're responsible to, whether it's your shareholders or whether it is a small consortium that runs it, okay? And they'll be told that there'll be legal problems if you do not meet these. So let's say you're doing what you were saying before about discriminated against women. You can't do that because again, either the shareholders or and this is in the capitalist society you want to live in. In a socialist society, the shareholders would be the people you employ, but again, that's for a different time. They will hold you fiscally responsible and personally responsible for any harm done to their business because they basically had their investment money into the business. So therefore, it's going to impact the business negatively if you're not paying somebody the right wage or something like that. So you do have responsibilities to your shareholders.
So Gary, can I interject? Okay, so again, the issue is that you are conflating what the actual state of affairs is with respect to certain countries' laws and what the actual topic is, which is the ethics of business contracts. Okay, we're not talking about what such and such society's laws are. And I think that I've made it more than clear that I don't really care about that. I find that topic rather boring. What I do find to be important, and what the topic of this hangout has to do with, is ethics. And specifically, we were getting into the idea of responsibility with respect to contracts in economical situations, like when you become an employee at some business. Okay, you are forwarding the socialistic idea that when a person signs a contract to his boss, that is not justification for the boss to act discriminatorily.
1, 2.
Okay.
Can
Now,
you guys hear me?
that argument has.
Yeah,
Yes,
we can
I
hear
can hear you.
Oh, okay, awesome.
That
Thank you.
argument has never been made. You just keep listing laws that actually happen to be the case. That's great. I'm glad there are laws that happen to be the case. I don't care that there are laws that happen to be the case. I care about what ought to be the case. I'm talking about ethics here. I'm talking about what we should do, not what happens to be going on at the moment.
Yeah.
It amazes me that those things are being conflated so badly. Now,
Yeah.
I have to get off here soon, but hopefully, maybe for the last few minutes that I can be on here, we don't have to keep running into this error with you, Gary.
Yeah, and I think we have. We have beaten this horse now for a long time. I mean, this is the business. I really want to move this on to the. I want to now get into the sector of. Okay, what the next thing that I would address is a church, for example. If I have a private church, should the government? This question is to you also, Phony. Should the government force the church that they must have a female pastor, even if they decide to know? We stand by the rule that only a male can be the pastor of this church. Should they have the freedom to decide that, or would you also say no? The government has to lay the hammer on that.
No, because in America that goes against the First Amendment.
Okay, wait. Okay, so you say it's okay for a church to say that they would only have men as pastors?
Yes, because that's a church. That's a religious thing. It's not a business.
Okay. What about in England?
Unless you want to say it is a business, therefore it needs to start paying tax.
Okay. What about in England? What's the law in England there?
Well, the church is run by the state.
Okay, so in England they have to employ a woman as a pastor?
Well, we don't. Well, yeah, some of them. We do have female vicars in Britain. Actually, we had the first female bishop recently.
No. What I'm saying is, I think you didn't understand. If I am a British citizen, let's say I were a British citizen, and I wanted to make a church, a community, and I said that this this church only allows male pastors, not female pastors. What then?
If you're not a Church of England, then the people can't really force you. If your own private thing, then that's fine.
Okay, wait. I didn't understand that. If it's my own private thing, it's fine. So but I call it a church, though. I call it a church.
No. I mean, if it's a religion, then again, that's not a business.
Okay, fine. So I'm allowed to do that in England.
You're allowed to do that anywhere because again, religion is different from a business.
Fine. I just want to have that clear. So
I don't disagree with that statement, but it's true.
Okay, that's fine. So even in the United Kingdom, that what I just said would be perfectly fine.
I don't know. I mean, again, you have to speak to whatever constituency you're talking about.
Okay, so you're not sure, no? Aren't you in the United Kingdom?
Depends, but I've never heard of. Like, there are some churches in here, like, for example, Pentecostals and evangelicals that are male only, and they're not being forced to have females. Like, sometimes the females want to talk and are allowed.
Okay, would you like to change the law so that the churches would be forced to, if a woman is capable, that they must then allow the woman to become a pastor?
Would I change the laws? Personally, no. Because that's their religious right to have or not have.
Okay.
If it's based on religion, if it's based upon something else, then that's not right.
Okay.
But if it's based on their religious right, then...
Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to know. Okay. Now, what about in the home? For example, in the home, is a husband, would you say that a husband should not be allowed to say certain words to his wife or use a certain tone towards his wife?
Pardon? Is he what?
Certain words, should a husband be allowed by law to not to use only? Should be banned by law to use certain words or a certain tone towards his wife.
If that tone's threatening, then yeah, he shouldn't be allowed.
What this is,
Threatening.
man.
Okay, no, not threatening. Like, let's say he says to his wife, "I am the head of the family, and you're supposed to respect that." Let's say he just says it that way. What about that?
Gary, why are you even playing along with this?
Oh, wait.
I think that's fine as long as the wife is allowed to leave.
There's such a thing called divorce.
I know that. I just want to
Why are
hear
you
from.
even
I can ask you. Okay, let me ask you then, David Pfizer. Okay, fine. I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you say to that?
What do I say to a man not able to use certain words in his house? It's his house. And if the woman don't like it, she can leave it.
Okay, very good. I hope it stays that way, because I can kind of sense that the next step is of the liberals to implement laws that you can't talk to your wife in a certain way anymore either.
Yeah.
That's
called civil discourse, and you can't use certain.
Why are you even saying there should be a law?
And there will come a time when this will actually happen, and then there will come a time when you use Christian language even at home. They will say, no, these words are inappropriate. They degrade women. Now the woman has.
Do you have any evidence for this?
Yeah, what you do?
No.
Right, but Johnny,
I even have evidence now. For example, did you read the recent that now Richard Dawkins says mild pedophilia is okay? See, he's not.
Oh
my God! I'm pretty sure that's a quote, man.
Mild pedophilia does not cause lasting harm. That's what the
article. Dear, but he does cause lasting harm. Right,
of course, I got put.
Even if Richard Dawkins said that, who cares? I disagree wholeheartedly.
See, but that's the thing now. So first of all, atheists were staunch. No, we will never accept pedophilia, not even in the slightest. But now slowly the door is opening, and this is the devil's thing.
Which atheist? Wait, Johnny. Which atheists accept that pedophilia should be allowed?
Not yet. I'm not saying that. This will come gradually. Obviously, you can't do it at once. I mean, if you just sat there, I'm going to put it out there. If you just said today, pedophilia is okay now, that is not going to work. That's not how human psychology works. And the experts know how to do it gradually, so that slowly over time, people will accept it. This is the devil's game. I have seen through it, man. Who are you fooling him?
Right, so do you think over time atheists will believe that pedophilia is okay?
The same they do with the Second Amendment. It's not, they can't just say, oh, you can't have any guns today. No, they say, today it's 10 rounds per minute. Tomorrow it's 5 rounds per minute. Then only 1 bullet per week. This is how they do it. Gradually, over time, they diminish this application of the Second Amendment while still maintaining the concept.
Okay, but Johnny, to answer the question,
and I say if the Christians don't wake up, and they might just wake up, and then
Johnny, hold on a second, man. I mean, you know, when they made that Second Amendment, that the average household had guns and stuff, and the guns they had were like muskets.
Doesn't matter, but the application, of course.
So okay, hold on a second. That's why we have these amendments.
Didn't have that.
Look, Johnny, hold on a second.
No, but I understand what you're saying, but the application, man.
You made a grave error.
Let me speak. The technology of guns has increased so much.
Destroyed your
amendments. They make these amendments to keep up with the technology.
Right, that's why we look at the spirit of the amendment, man. We don't read the amendment like a Pharisee would, man. We look at the spirit behind the amendment, man.
What are you talking about?
Obviously, what I'm talking about is obviously the Second Amendment was that whatever weapons would develop over time, people should be allowed to have them. Period.
Johnny,
doesn't matter whether it's tank, doesn't matter whether it's more aircraft, doesn't matter whether it's.
You want to have a nuke in your house? Do you want your next door neighbor to have a nuclear weapon?
I'm gonna hijack your show, Johnny.
I need you. That is irrelevant, man.
Johnny, listen. Johnny, wait a second. Johnny.
My emotions. You're saying, "Oh man, Johnny, do you want to? Oh no, this is gonna scare me. Oh man, now I have to put a limit."
Johnny, David completely just annihilated his own. He just completely annihilated his own argument. The muskets at the time were the most advanced weapons in the world. That means that the militias designed.
So were the first cars.
60 seconds.
Exactly.
Speed limits.
Exactly.
So we have these amendments.
Listen, quiet, civilian. Excuse me, civilian. Silence and listen to someone who works for the government. Yes, shut up. Shut up and listen, you ignorant eater. You are.
Who the hell is this guy talking? Who is this guy? Oh, okay. Pillbox?
That's Pillbox.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of you.
How many pills is he taking?
You're an asshole.
Absolutely destroyed your own argument. The muskets at the time. You absolutely destroyed yourself, and you're not going to let me tell you. You're going to keep interrupting me. You're talking about when those militias were formed, that they were told to have muskets. Yes, those were the most advanced weapons on the earth at the time. The militias are designed to protect themselves from corrupt governments who, of course, have the most advanced weapons at the time. So that is the worst argument someone could say is that, oh, no, that was the worst argument. Did this. It just shows how stupid people are.
Did you not hear the rest of what I said, you dumb asshole? Did you not hear the rest of what I said? I said, do you want your neighbors to own a nuclear weapon? That's the most advanced.
Yeah, I know. You're so stupid. You would compare a nuclear weapon to small. That's the problem. You don't understand reality. These are small arms. A civilian cannot operate and walk around with a nuclear weapon. So that is completely besides the fact of the matter that civilians are allowed and actually entrusted by the founding fathers to make sure that they have trained and formed militias able to defend themselves against tyranny and against the oppression of governments. And that means owning and using and learning and training with small arms weapons. So use the argument about
Mr. Pillbox. Do you want your neighbor to own a nuclear weapon?
That is so stupid. You can't walk around and carry a nuclear weapon, dumbass.
Suitcase.
You have
to carry a suitcase.
Sorry, David. You live in science fiction world. You believe in nuclear weapons that fit in suitcases like you saw in spy movies because you've been raised by television. Sucks to be you.
No. You don't understand what I'm talking about, guy. Hey, look, man. You know that nuclear weapons can be broken down into pieces, right? You don't have to have all you have to have is the size of Hiroshima. And the parts can be carried by several different people, each having a suitcase, and they.
Yeah, I'd like to know one group of people that has used nuclear weapons on any type of situation on Earth since 1945 on a civilian or military target. Tell me one time that nuclear weapons.
That's not the point.
Hey, listen, hey, Pillbox, man. Hey, hold on, guys. Listen. I know you, hey, Pillbox, I know you disagree with him, but don't mute him like that, man. I mean, let him get his thought out. We're not agreeing with him.
Oh, it doesn't work that way. I'm on a phone, so when I'm interrupted, it automatically mutes me. It doesn't work that way. Not everything is comparable. When you make a statement that crazy, David, it just shows how separated you are. We don't have the slight.
I'm trying to take your point to its logical conclusion. And the muskets were.
Yeah, as soon as you interrupt me like that, it cuts me off.
We're not the most advanced weapon.
Whoa, Pillbox, don't interrupt. Don't stop doing that, bro. Listen, I know you're on your phone, but that you keep muting him.
Yes, because it mutes. Yes, and you're not listening. I just told you why. You got to listen to what I'm saying. You got to open your ears. As soon as you talk, it interrupts me. That's why I have to mute. When you don't let me talk, when you interrupt me, it automatically. I have an argument from ignorance. You should probably learn why militias were formed in the first place. It's for protection against.
That's your opinion of things.
These countries fall into crap.
Muskets were not the most advanced weapon during those times. Muskets were not the most advanced weapons. They had things like cannons.
That's so stupid. Exactly. You're not trying to take away nuclear weapons. You're trying to take away the weapons we already have.
I'm not trying to take away anybody's weapons.
Are there any atheists in the room?
I'm just telling you why the amendments were made. Are you so dumb that you think that someone will explain why a thing exists?
I got a question for atheists.
You're telling us to get rid of our governments.
You might as well type in
why a certain thing is the way it is, that's me being in agreement with it?
No, you need someone to wipe your ass for you because you can't work for yourself and you spend your entire life on the computer.
You don't know me. You don't know me.
You need a government to tell you what to do. You need a government
to tell me what to do. No, I know that the government is there, and they do tell me what to do. It doesn't mean that I like it or agree with it.
Yeah. You don't have the slightest clue of what someone's so stupid to suggest that we can even have access.
But you don't know nothing. You don't know. You don't know what I'm trying to say.
That's because you're so ignorant. There's nothing to listen to anymore. Well, how do people like you exist in the United States? It just blows me away. You are a disgrace to the Constitution.
What am I about?
The Constitution. You're a disgrace.
I just said the amendment existed because of this reason. I didn't say I.
No, you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace to the amendment. You're a disgrace to the Constitution.
I said that it exists for this reason.
Yeah, you are wrong. It exists to protect ourselves.
You're muting me, dumbass. I don't even get to finish.
No, you don't get to finish because all you're doing is atheists are just psychotic cowards, all of you.
I just said the amendment exists for this reason. I didn't say I agreed with it.
Oh, thank God.
You're the one that's saying that I'm agreeing with it, or that I think is right. I just said it exists for this reason. This is why they thought the way they thought, and this is why they passed these amendments.
Hey, I'm going to say this right now. Listen, hey, hold on, David, hold on 1 second. He left, by the way. I just want to say that, but I was actually going to unbroadcast him because I don't think he should be muting anybody. I know if he's on his phone and he's having problems listening or whatever, that's one thing. But we're not going to be muting people in here unless I mean, we need to have some order. I think. Listen, I'm not saying I agree with anything you're saying, David, but at the same time, I don't think that's cool that he had to keep muting you. I don't know what was going on with that. He said he was on his phone, but I could hear him perfectly fine, and he was talking. And
I mean,
I don't know what's up with that.
See, I took offense. I took offense because I'm saying that the amendment existed, and this is why that it existed. I didn't say I agreed with it. I just said this is why it exists. Whether or not I agree with it is another topic.
Well, the main point is, though, what I'm saying is that they try to diminish the Second Amendment because they try to make more and more sneaky rules upon it. That's what I'm saying. And this will continue to happen until you will only be able to fire one round every week. Trust me, it'll come to that point.
And my point was that when they made those amendments, they were trying to keep in mind that it was a different time when they had all these, when they made the Bill of Rights and all that, and that people had, a very primitive type of weapon compared to what they have today. So they're trying to keep up. Whether or not it's the right thing or wrong thing is irrelevant. The thing is that's the argument they're presenting is that, well, because now you have rounds that can like shoot 50 rounds in 10 seconds. Right. Maybe we should update the rules a little bit.
No. Let me explain this. The rule was, the reason why the Second Amendment was given was to protect, so that if the government gets out of control, the people have the chance to fight the government. That's the intention of the Second Amendment. So this is why the people altogether must always have more powerful weapons than the government. For if they don't, then the application of the Second Amendment gets destroyed. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, pretty much after the Industrial Revolution, and we started coming up with better and better technology and better ways to fight wars.
Right, and that's why people need better and better weapons.
The idea that you're going to fight the government when they've got tanks and nukes.
That's why, yeah, but that's
just kind of
drone strikes.
David, just give me a moment, David. That's why I'm saying the people need to update themselves too. Let's say the government gets 2 tanks, then the people need to have 100 tanks. The government gets the powerful tank. The people need to buy even more powerful tanks. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Then you're in a realm of ridiculousness.
No, man, that's the intention of the Second Amendment.
The thing is that the Second Amendment, it's so freaking archaic now. I mean, in order for it to obey its principles, we have to do what you just said. Everybody has to have a nuke. Everybody has to have a tank. Everybody. I mean, come on, man.
Everybody should get a tank.
What about a nuke?
What about nuke? Yeah, many people can get together and have one nuke on which if they all decide, then it goes off. They can have that.
That's
so they can
insane.
have that.
You not see how insane that is?
No, it's not, because otherwise the government will overtake you, man. You
can't have nukes and stuff. Then there's nothing you can do about it.
Man, so you want to just, man, this is ridiculous. See, this is the thing, man. This is exactly what I knew it would happen, man. I knew it.
How did you know?
I knew this.
Fight someone who's got a nuke pointed at you?
One day, you know, these guys will find excuses, you know. Man, all that I've been thinking just came through, man.
No, what would happen? What would happen if the government ever decided to attack the people? Is that we would try to revolt and do the best we can.
But we can't. If they have more powerful weapons, what would we do?
Exactly my point. Then I would rather be dead.
Man, ridiculous, man.
And you'd
I
rather
won't
have
fight
people
until
have
I'm
tanks
dead.
and you call
I
him
won't fight. I
ridiculous.
won't resist it as best I can with what I have. Odds are I'm going to lose.
Okay. Anybody want to add anything to that?
How does me stating reality make me have issues?
Because you said you would rather die than fight back if there was a government
That's not what I
involved.
said. That's not what I said. I said I would die fighting back.
Oh boy.
But you're not. What are you going to do against someone who's got tanks and nukes and all kinds of other stuff?
Okay, there's something you don't seem to understand, David. You don't understand that a lot of the people who would be involved with fighting back are the people who have been in the military and are able to plan things just as well, if not better, than they would.
No, that's not true.
I got a video from Jessica. Go watch it.
The stuff the government has is way more than anything any militia's got.
Look, that's what I'm saying. If people could continuously update themselves just like the government is allowed to by law, then there would be a balance, and then it wouldn't even come to.
Then it would be Mad Max. It would be like.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it would. If some nutball group decides that they're going to start something because something happened in the news they didn't like, they see somebody get beat up or arrested or mistreated or something, and they decide to get all mad about it, and then they go and attack someone, and they have everything as advanced as the government does, then it's just going to start a chain reaction like a domino, and we're going to be living in
because
that.
other people have that too. You see, people are not stupid. If other people have, the next door neighbor has the same thing too.
All it takes is one insane person.
Look, no, this is how it balances out.
One suicidal bomber. It's over.
See, this is the thing. That's the flawed thinking behind all this. If there's more than one people, then it balances out because everybody has them.
Do you guys even realize? Are you guys awake enough and aware enough to the world that you're living in to notice that they're actually creating and stirring a revolutionary mentality within us, with all of these police beating up people and killing people for no reason, and all of these racist events against black people?
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Do you not see what they're doing? Do you not see that it's going to come to that? So to die, if you really know Christ, if you really have Christ in your life, and if you are in Christ, to die means nothing. I would rather die fighting than to live begging. We are going to come to a place very, very soon, David, where...
Yeah, and that I'm in agreement with you, Rand. I'm in agreement with you.
Bro, it's coming, man. They're forcing it on us. I don't know about you guys, but I see some of this stuff, and it just angers me. And what I think about is who else is being angered by this? And who's being angered that doesn't have the love of Christ in them? And what kind of anger is that perpetuating into? We're coming to a very dangerous thing if this continues. And they know it.
I said it in my video, in some videos earlier, is that if there was a revolution coming, it would be like what happened in Libya, where the military would, at first they'd be on the government side, and then after they see a lot of the stuff that's happening, and they say these are my fellow citizens, these are Americans and stuff, and then they'll slowly start to change sides. Because there's enough of us. There's like 2 million active duty military personnel, and there's enough prior service people like myself, and people who know a lot more than me, that would be helpfully, try to organize and stuff like that, and we would start to slowly turn it around because we got the numbers, and everyone's got a potential weapon, even if all they own is a car. I mean, there's millions of cars that you can turn into bombs. I mean, there's ways to fight back, and then the military would gradually switch sides, and the people who run things know this, and they're not going to like go the nuke route, but they could. I mean, if it was the scenario that Johnny was pointing out earlier, is that if the government was organized enough and the people were just sheep, and I mean, what are you going to do when someone has a nuke pointed at you? But they're not going to let it get that far. I really, there's just so many factors involved here.
Also, I mean, I would like to add at this point, I mean, the government would be completely stupid if they used nuclear bombs because they would be destroying themselves too. I mean, nuclear sends out radiation.
No, they got bunkers and stuff to hide in.
But that is, I mean, with all the radiation, they never come out of the bunker, so they never have that luxurious life again.
Man, they've been storing up stuff since the freaking 40s, man. They could live down there for 200 years.
Yeah, but that's going to be some fun, right? Living in a crowded bunker, right?
It's not about fun, David.
What's that?
It's not about fun. It's not about that for them anymore. This is all biblically written. This is Satan's plan. This has nothing to do with man. These are people that are following Satan. He dictates how things are going to be. They want to destroy. They want to destroy the second coming of Christ. This is what it's about.
Well, I mean, it all seems like, I mean, I have to admit it, I mean, like the way things are going, the end times are pretty near. I mean, I didn't want it true either. I mean, I was always skeptical of it, but now I'm seeing, man, that this is a disaster, man.
Well, I personally don't believe that we're going to have this Mad Max scenario until, like, the very end. Because, when the Antichrist comes on the scene, he's not going to come onto a nuclear wasteland. He's going to come into the scene where everything is good and organized, and he's got people on his side.
Have you read Revelations?
Yeah, all that stuff that's in there about the plagues and all that. That's like almost the last half of the tribulation where that stuff happens.
You do realize a third of the planet is supposed to be destroyed, right?
What's that?
A third of the planet is supposed to be destroyed.
Well, the Earth is going to be pretty much wiped out, but that's after the Antichrist comes on the scene. I mean, the Antichrist isn't going to come on the scene when everything is Mad Max. Everything's going to be just fine when he comes on the scene. It's after he gets here where that stuff happens.
Yeah, that's when all hell breaks loose. That's right. I see it the same way. But the thing is the signs of such, the potentials of such will already be visible. Like, for example, we have homosexuality on the rise.
The infrastructure is in place.
Yeah, right.
That's what we're arguing about. We seem to get confused that the infrastructure is just the infrastructure and not the end result. We think that the infrastructure is the thing. It's not. It's the man that comes on the scene and uses the infrastructure.
Of course, but the infrastructure is also placed in such a way. For example, we see the homosexuals, given not only just rights, but now it's coming to a point where actually in the United Kingdom or in many European countries, if you can't really speak out against homosexuality or insult them anymore, because just like you can insult a race, it will be called degradation of something you can't change, because they now argue you can't change being a homosexual. So therefore, it's like
you can insult a homosexual. You just can't do it in such a way where it incites a riot, where you're like inciting people to do the violence.
That's in the United States. I give you that. That's still the case in the United States. But in the United Kingdom, I think it's gone much stricter than that.
No, there's no law or anything. You can insult people. You just
you can go up to a gay person and say, "Oh my God, you're a faggot. How can you stand that? It's just disgusting." And you can say stuff like that, as long as you're not doing it in your workplace.
As long as you don't touch them.
As long as you're not. You can be walking on the street and say, as long as you're not trying to get your friends together, follow them and harass them and stuff,
I'm not talking about the United States.
You can be racist. Like, you can say racist things as long as you don't touch them, harm them.
Right. I'm not talking about the United States.
You can go up to
United Kingdom as well.
Black guy and say all kinds of horrible racist things to them, but they're probably going to get in a fight if they do.
No, what I'm talking about is not the United States.
Yeah, United Kingdom as well. That's what I said.
Okay. Let's analyze this. So you're saying in the United Kingdom, I can hold an anti-gay parade. Is that possible?
Not many people attend. But...
No, that's not the issue. I'm saying I can hold it legally.
Yeah, it's legal.
Okay, no policeman gonna say, hey Johnny, you can't do that. You're not
Well, you
allowed.
have to go through certain channels. Like you
Oh,
have to
no,
get
no,
a
no, 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 no.
permit.
Try getting the zoning for that. Try getting the zoning for that. You're not getting that. Come on, man. Just because you have the right to do it doesn't mean you're going to get the zoning.
Well, see already.
I have the right to build. I have a right to build a fence around my house if I get the zoning, or if I get the permits. You got to get permits, bro. You can't just have an anti-gay parade.
I'm guessing it's that way in the U.S.
Okay, hey, real quick, Johnny, you know who Hades is?
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Alright, I have no idea.
Does anybody know Hades?
No, never heard of him.
Yes, I have.
Is he okay?
He's not okay. He's an atheist, but he'll be respectful.
Okay, then I guess I can broadcast him. Okay.
There's no atheist that's okay, but he will be respectful.
All right. Good. See, that's
wow. The thing. Room went quiet.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's the thing. You see, I have no problem if gays want to hold their parades, and so of course morally I have a problem, but I don't want to use the law. You know, they can have their say, as long as Christians can make their anti-gay parades, as long as we can spit on homosexuality, as long as we can despise homosexuality.
Wait, did you say you can spit on homosexuals?
No, spit on homosexuality, the concept.
Well, speaking of that, Johnny, here in Toronto they have the gay parade. It's one of the largest gay parades in the world.
Yeah.
And they hold it the same weekend as Canada Day. And last year there were some Christian people from a local church that set up a booth at one of the corners of the parade route, and were handing out tracts and preaching the gospel. And the people there for the parade, the homosexual parade, were throwing booze and alcohol on them, spitting on them, calling them names, screaming at them.
Oh, physically spitting on them.
Yes, and pouring alcohol on them. And the police removed the Christians from the area and said if they did not back up and go, they would be charged.
Wow.
That's
what
I want to see like a link for this before.
Yeah, brother.
Right, here, I'll send you a link. Let me get a link for you.
Now, Rand,
I've
never been to a gay parade. I've never seen a gay parade except maybe in a clip or two. I've heard that a lot of the stuff you don't see is really kind of gross. And now I'm wondering though, what kind of signs were the Christians holding up? Were they like the Westboro Baptist kind of signs?
Nope.
Just saying like homosexuality, go to hell, stuff like that. Nothing like that.
No, nothing like that.
Okay, well then yeah, the people who were in that parade that did that were like, there was no reason even in their minds I could think of why they would attack them.
Here, let me see if I can get you this. I think I might have it already. Hopefully.
Yeah, but assaulting someone, that's going way too far.
Yeah.
Well, they were spitting on them, pouring booze on them. Yeah, it was really bad. Not good enough.
But I do remember seeing a clip where it was a Muslim festival where a bunch of Christians went to preach the gospel or whatever it was they were doing there, and the police asked them to leave because they were getting beer bottles and stuff thrown at them. One guy, I think, got a cut forehead. Then the police told them they would have to leave or they would get arrested, and I think the reason why they were doing it was because that was the path of least resistance. It's easier to control that small group and get them out of the area to pacify the bigger group than it would be to try to make the bigger group behave. So I think police have to think along those lines as well.
Yeah.
Oh, here, Wretched. You guys know who Wretched is?
I never heard of that one either.
I'm sub to his channel, but anyways, he has it on there. There's that link. I'll try to find you another link if I can.
Okay, I'm gonna mute and check this video.
Okay, everything got real quiet.
People are watching that video.
Okay.
Talking to Wanda. Faithful. Is you there, Faithful?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Yeah, don't
Oh, please. Don't worry about all that. Oh, Wolf.
Oh boy.
Oh, Wolf. Wolf, how are you even showing your face on G Plus, bro, after what Matt Slick did to you, man?
Wait, but someone broadcast. All right, there you go.
How you dealing with that, bro?
Well, what did he do? Like, get all whiny and upset with Wolf's picture and started, like, you know, basically getting really upset about it and you know, whining. Is that what you're talking about when he started getting, started crying about it?
This how much I.
Like, you can't even speak, man. Wolf got punched out, bro. Wolf sounds punch drunk.
You mean by that whiny ass pompous apologist?
Man, come on, Wolf.
I got knocked out by that whiny ass pompous
apologist.
apologist.
We can accept our beatings.
Wolf,
we can accept our beatings.
To me, it seems like Matt conceded by.
Yeah. Grown men that whine over people that just can't control their
Hey, listen, Wolf, I gotta tell you, brother, I don't like to get in between all this, like, try to get into a little back and forth and all that. But man, you definitely, that was not a good look, bro. That was not a good look, honestly. I don't get into the whole back and forth and taking sides and all that, but man, that was not a good look at all, brother.
Yeah, you look bad, Wolf. It's all right, man. We take our beatings, man. It's all right. I don't win every fight.
I mean, to me, it seems like Matt conceded by kicking Wolf out the hangout, and then.
No, man. It was just stupid. It was so stupid. Well, let me ask you a question.
About the picture.
Would you sit there and argue with your kid? For like, how long would it take before you went, all right, go play, go do something?
How old is Matt Slick, and is whining and moaning about it?
He wasn't whining, bro. No. He was
whining. He was.
Why am I talking? He was trying to be polite. He was trying to be polite. He was trying to give his time up to Wolf. But it was literally like your kid arguing with
he was trying to be nice. Like he was trying to be nice.
He was trying to be nice.
When he was insulting me and then had the nerve to whine like
you're listening.
And then kicking you, yeah, that's
Didn't he call you stupid at one point?
Why couldn't you have some respect and come in with a different avatar? I mean, really, you came in being disrespectful, bro.
Oh my God, it's a hard
so if that avatar is disrespectful to Christians, then you know it. Otherwise, you wouldn't use it. But
I'll let you know when I start to give a damn.
You can't. Yeah, see, that's the problem. That you're like that little kid that dad's got to go. All right, get out, go play. I'm done. Get going, go, up. Get going. Dinner will be ready at 6. Get going and get out of here.
Well, Wolf, I have to agree with Moran on that one because I don't know what video that was, but if you go onto a Christian video and you have an avatar that's deliberately antagonistic, you got to expect that sort of thing, man.
Yeah, well, dude, this is the internet. I mean, like,
Nah, that's not an excuse, bro. You still have to be a man, bro. No, Wolf.
About that.
No, well, you don't get to use the internet, bro. You still got to be a man.
I blocked my own brother.
I'm using it right now. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what?
Right. I find it offensive.
And if Matt can't actually handle like a little picture, then
no, that's not what
unlucky for him, you know. If he can't handle being,
he needs to get his ass off the internet if he couldn't do that, bro.
No, that's not.
If he has to kick people because he's so upset with a picture, then I don't know. That's
I keep looking at the upside down cross. That's what makes me mad. That's what makes me mad about the upside down. Why you got the upside down cross? I'm so butthurt. I can't deal with it.
Look, it's like when my brother come on my video and he converted from Christianity to Judaism and now he's got this avatar of Jesus with the X through it. So every time he comes on my videos and comment, he's got that avatar where his comment is. And I tolerated it for quite a while, and I finally got to the point where I said, "Look, I'm tired of all your nonsense. I mean, what do you expect from me? except to be treated like an enemy. When you come onto my video, you have that anti-Jesus avatar, and you have all your comments that is constantly, you know, trying to contradict me and the things that I'm saying, and you're going to be treated like an enemy. So why don't you show some respect and come on with just a photo or something? You know, get rid of that Jesus thing if you want to make any more comments on my video.
David, he wasn't just coming into a chat. He wasn't just coming into a regular hangout. This was a scheduled appointment to go on the Bible Thumping Wingnut show to talk to Matt Slick. I mean, you could have been a little more respectful. It wasn't just some Nadia hangout. This was a opportunity to really express your opinion with somebody that has a radio show and that has a little more respect in, you know, Christian apologetics than a G-Man or a Ram Campbell. So you had a real opportunity, and you just don't care. Like you said, you'll let me know.
It wasn't like Wolf had a standard picture, and then it was like, oh, I'm going to Matt Slick.
Hades, you know it's wrong. Hades, you know it's wrong. You wouldn't wear a "Go F Yourself" T-shirt to a job interview. Come on, bro. You guys know what respect is.
Yeah, exactly. Rand's right on that one.
You're big enough, man. You're big enough.
No, I think that's personal and subjective, and you know, it just doesn't.
No. Never mind the words.
If I go to a Muslim channel and I'm wearing, or if I go to a Jewish, like I told my brother, if I go to a Jewish video or place, and I have a hat or T-shirt that says "Death to Israel," you know, and I claim to be a Muslim, and I come in and I'm trying to talk to them with this "Death to Israel" thing right in their face. I mean, I'm not going to expect anything except animosity.
I think that might be. I think in this case that might be hyperbole.
Might be hyperbole. Well, really, we all know that you're a brother from the ghetto. Never mind trying to act like you're a Yale University.
Yeah, and we all know that you
stop it. Wolf. You got handled. Matt Slick handled you. Take your beating like a man. It's okay, man.
I took a beating from a whiny ass dude who moaned about his own religious liberty, but couldn't mind my picture.
I seldom download stuff, or when I see stuff, I seldom say, "Oh, I need to keep that." I kept that one, bro. I got that in my archives. That was a good one. You got handled, bro.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We don't win them all. Don't try to win them all, bro. Be a man. You took a bit of a beating.
I'm insulted and offended by your image. I'm insulted and offended.
No. But you didn't even have an argument. You were saying separation of church and state, and then said that the state gets to decide. And then said the state.
Secular America. That's what it is, dude. Do you even realize? Stop. Hold on a second. Do you realize that the American laws in this country are based on the Constitution?
But you understand how stupid you are. You said separation.
No. Actually, I'm not. You need to learn some history before you start telling me.
Dumb. Listen.
You ex-convict motherfucker.
Listen, dumb. You said separation of church and state, and the state gets to decide.
Keep to your own country and don't talk to me about it.
Listen, stupid. You said separation of church and state, and the state gets to decide that. Yeah, see? He has no idea.
Curiosity, who's the moderator? Whose hangout is this?
This is my hangout.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So, I wanted to get back to the gay issue because I wanted to address the gay bakery thing, the whole where they refused to make a wedding, and then it became a big deal. Now there's a person actually on YouTube who made calls to gay bakeries, and he wanted the following written on his wedding cake. He wanted to have it written, "This is a cake for a traditional wedding, celebrating traditional weddings, and homosexuality is wrong." That's what he wanted written on his cake, and he called up gay bakeries, and every single one of them refused. None of them got sued. How does that work out? Why is it that the gay bakeries can refuse to make a certain type of a cake, you know, or have certain things written on the cake that the Christians demand when they want to buy it, but in a Christian bakery they are forced to make a cake for the gays? That's what I'm having an issue with. Somebody explain that?
Do you have a link to where this actually happened, or?
Yeah, I can provide you the link to the one who made the calls to the gay bakeries, so you can hear that they all refused.
But what the response? Yeah.
Actually, I think it was on TYT too, wasn't it? They talked about it, about how they were suing him.
They're suing the guy who made calls.
Oh no, they weren't.
Or somebody was doing it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they said something about it on MGTOW.
Who calls them? The bakeries, the gay bakeries, refused to make the cake.
I don't know. I don't think we can comment until we see a link of some sort. You know?
Okay, I'll show you.
I heard of something about that. I also heard that it was pizzas. Something about
that was something different.
Certain people don't want to cater to gay weddings and stuff.
Actually, there was a video.
I'm conflicted on that issue. I think you gotta look at all the facts first.
Yeah, there was a video.
I think the reason why the cake owner had, I think it was the cake owner that lost. Lost their case because the cake owner had already agreed to do the work and I think they received money already before they found out exactly what it was they were doing. And
they signed the contract.
Yeah, so because they signed the
responsible.
contract. Personally, if I owned a cake shop, unless they were trying to get me to do something offensive like make a cake in with genitalia shapes or something, or have two men put on the top of the cake or something like that, yeah, I probably wouldn't care.
Here's the link in the side chat. Okay.
Oh, do they have a picture of the case that was in controversy, or what?
Yeah, he called the different bakeries, gay bakeries, and he asked them to make a traditional cake for the wedding that had on it written homosexuality is wrong or being gay is wrong, and they all refused.
Oh, he wrote that on the cake?
No. He asked them. He asked them to do that, and they refused to do that for him. They refused the service.
Yeah, they were Muslim or something like that, wouldn't they?
No. That was he was. I think the guy is a traditional Catholic, and he called the gay bakeries to try to turn it around on them to see that whether they are consistent or not, at least. But they weren't consistent. This is the thing. They wanna shut Christianity down completely by law.
I don't think that's going to be possible.
Well, yeah, hopefully not, but they will try, and that's bad enough that they will try, and we allow them. See, what I don't like is when Christians just sit down and be lazy, be decadent, and do nothing about it. You see, if Christians don't stand up for their rights, they're going to be taken away. You see, this is the problem. I'm also wondering, for example, we have these dramas now going on. For example, there's The Bold and the Beautiful, where they're currently introducing a transgender person to make him or her acceptable in society. So they sneakily bring that in, and then they show a woman who has two moms, and it's all okay. You have two moms, there's no problem with that. You know, they make it. Why don't Christians make a drama series in which they basically bring up things, and then they set up, oh, there's homosexual guys. Look at these disgusting homosexuals. Look at what they do. The Christians.
Well, I think it's because it sounds like a Christian such as yourself believes that that's a choice someone makes. When that is, I mean, there's proof, evidence that it might not be as simple as that.
Yeah, there's evidence from the atheists. There's not evidence that the Christians who are solid in the Bible would accept. See, that's also the difference. That's like saying in Hitler's time there was evidence, quote unquote evidence, that the white race is the supreme race. Well, we can spit on that quote unquote evidence because obviously an unbeliever is going to make up evidence as it goes along, and he's trying to market it in such a way that people will eventually accept it. So we don't fall for that as Christians. We should never fall for that. I mean, I certainly will never fall for that, and I hope that Christians.
Well, as our science becomes more and more advanced, we're starting to discover that there's differences. There's actual physical, chromosomal, or however the science is. There's actual differences between a straight person and a gay person.
Yeah, it's. Let me explain to you what actually is the case. Very few, even the experts will say that even on the genetic level, there's very, very little to suggest that it's genetic. It's more environmental. That's number one. Number two, yes, the brain structure of gay people is different from that of a straight person. That's true. But the problem is the brain structure of a murderer is different from that of a person who has never murdered. And this is because the brain rewires itself. It forms new neural connections with the thought process. So if you keep thinking in a certain direction, the brain over time will
Okay, well, there's a huge difference between someone's brain being different from homosexuality and someone's brain being different because they're murderers. And I don't think all murderers' brains are different, just the psychopathic ones. And the thing is, a murderer actually harming people. Murder is actually out there killing people. We can't let them run amok.
No, that's a totally different story. That's a totally different. I'm saying that it is a choice though, because you can over time, through your thoughts, change the structure of your brain. So gay people could, although it's not easy since they have spent so much thought and so much years in this perverse thought that now the brain has been structured that way. It's not going to be the next day they're going to be straight again. No, it's going to be a very, very long process. But it is possible, and that is still a choice. That's when the Bible says, for example, God hands them over to a reprobate mind. That's exactly what I see in line with Scripture. That's why God has made the neural network so dynamic, you know, that when people indeed, when they think over, there comes a time the brain has restructured to such a point that now it's difficult for you to come back. They're being handed over to a reprobate mind, you see. So it perfectly fits, you see. That's the thing. So last but not least, I mean, science is only good. I mean, if science can be misused by people, that's why for example, I only trust science when it's run by a Christian, you know, because I know that other people, you know, they will misuse it, and we see the disaster. For example, in Hitler's regime, what happened when they misused it? And that's the thing.
No, I don't have enough science to really refute what you're saying. I'm not in complete agreement with your conclusion. But there seems to be some validity to what you're saying. It's interesting that you made the connection between the changes of in the brain. The person who's gay's brain is different from the straight person's brain, and then you made that connection with Romans chapter 1, because you're talking about the mind here. That's interesting. But the thing I'm having an issue with is that, well, if this is another way of saying that they can't help but be what they are, then, you know, I don't see how they can be faulted.
Well, that's the thing. They can still help it. What they can do is they can now change their thoughts, you know, and over time the condition will improve because the brain again remains dynamic. Change again.
Okay. This is borderline mind control at this stage. I mean, you could.
Not mind control, because it's up to them. It's not that we are forcing them to do it. They have to make that choice, and they have to make it long term. It's really that simple.
It's so if you could just have a little bit of empathy for a moment, it would be like someone saying that we could go from being straight to gay. And then even the idea to me is ludicrous, because I can't imagine looking at a guy the way I look at a girl. I can't even comprehend it. I can't even wrap my head around it.
Because the brain, it takes time. That's what I was saying. I can't imagine myself. You see, there are people who, before they've ever killed a person, they couldn't imagine themselves killing a person, but then they thought in that direction. They kept thinking and thinking. And one day the barrier was broken because the brain, you know, formed new neural connections. They took the gun, did it. Oh man, now the brain was totally aligned with that, formed new pathways. Now it was more and more easy. Then they did it again and again and again. You see, this is how it happens, man. So obviously, it's difficult to reprogram them.
I don't know about
that.
If
you keep doing something over and over again, it will eventually become easier to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
You're talking about changing people that don't harm society.
I think if a gay person was in here, he'd probably take extreme issue with that. It just sounds too simple. And if it were that simple, then it could be fixed simply.
What I find interesting, by the way, hi guys.
Hey.
What I find interesting, you John, have compared the gay brain basically with the killer brain. And all right, let's say it's a fair comparison and whatnot, but there's all sorts of murders going on. There's people that have been born with a certain train of thought or mindset or some or maybe have grown to become vile or criminal oriented. But there's some other person, some people you couldn't imagine in a lifetime would be criminal, and it wasn't as you put it. I feel like you're thinking it comes from the inside, the decision to murder somebody. But I think for a lot of the cases, that decision, or not really a cognitive decision, but that final act isn't really coming from the inside. In a lot of cases, doesn't come from the inside, but from the outside. So it's not so much about you thinking in those terms. Not me, you personally, but one person thinking from the inside, going in that mindset of murdering someone after a while, where they keep on repeating to themselves, "This is bad. This is bad. I'm going to kill that person today, maybe tomorrow." And after all, they kill it. There's some cases of murder where they just murder somebody because of the situation they are in that certain second or minute or whatever. So it's not really a state of mind.
You're talking about manslaughter, when people get heated in the moment. I understand that, but that's not really what the example that I was giving. I was talking about somebody like a mafia gangster, who wants complete control and he.
Yeah, all right. A mafia gangster, all right. Let's take it that way. First of all, in order to become a mafia gangster, you have to live in a certain neighborhood. Like, for example, over here where I'm living, you're never gonna be a mafia gangster, because there's no such thing as a mafia. You're never gonna end up in a mafia because there isn't one. And now let's put it in the 60s New York, or 20s or 40s or whatever, where the mafia was big in New York. Now, first of all, people are the same, basically the same as we're born right now, and it takes a certain amount of things that happen in your life in order for one guy to become, after a while, a mafia guy, and then maybe just shaking down people without murdering, but just beating them up or whatever for the money. And after a while, because of the way his life has been pointing him, reaches out to that, he eventually comes to that point when murder becomes acceptable, because he's seen it in people around him doing it and so on. So it's not really that he's born with murder on his mind.
No, he's not born. I said the genetic factor involved.
It doesn't have anything to do with genetics.
There's always a small genetic factor because we are all inclined a bit.
Yeah, it is.
On the genetic, but that's minimal, and that's even the case in the gays. That's a minimum factor.
Well, did you know that they find the gay gene? Did you know about that?
Yeah, but there's also a lot of refutations on that.
Of course, there's a refutation. Every time you ask people on the street, they're gonna not believe in global warming.
No, I'm saying within the scientific community, there is a lot of disputation on that. This is not a cut and dry issue, a gay gene issue.
All right, if you say so. I myself do not believe it just because you said it right now. But I do understand that there could be a possibility for this. So I'm not gonna pursue my own ideas. Could be. You might be right. That's what I'm saying. I don't think you're right, but you might be. So yeah, could be. But referring to gay people, gay, maybe you see it as genetic. You might see it as a mental evolution for that person that turns him eventually to become gay. Sorry, am I speaking over you? Could be my headset is off. Sorry.
No, nobody's talking at the moment.
All right. Oh, sorry. I thought I was out of batteries. Yeah, so it could be that you're right, but if you're right and homosexuality comes from a lifetime experience, maybe that the life is 8 years long or 30 years or 40, after a while, let's say, your lifetime experience, not yours, but that gay person's lifetime experience changes him mentally, like you said, or brain connectivity wise into becoming gay after a while. how would you explain the gayness in nature? There's a lot of animals that are gay, that act homosexual. What's that? Well, if God created all those animals, how could God created gay sheep or whatever? I'm just saying.
I understand. That's very easy to explain. First of all, in animals, I mean, we can't transfer the animal morality onto humans. That would be the first one. Now, for the animals that kill their young, for survival and things like that, and that would be, we can't transfer their morality on us. So that would be one thing. Now, why do these things happen? Well, why does the lion eat the sheep? The Bible says in the beginning that was not the case. They all eat vegetation. So that happened after the fall because they also degraded. They were also running down. That's why we see all these. You see, I even consider that many animals nowadays, I believe in the beginning used to be all romantic. Even when the animal got together, the male and female. Now it's all like it's running amok. That's because of the genetic defects over time, many generations of that, and it's eventually going to be a complete disaster. All animals are going to be out of control probably too before the end comes.
All right, so Johnny, from what you said, basically, you said that nowadays carnivores may in the past, in the biblical sense, may have been herbivores. Do you not see any logical connection between having a set of teeth in all herbivores nowadays in a certain way, and another completely different set of teeth between all carnivores? Do you not see like? Would you, for example, ever imagine that a cat with all those incisive teeth and everything else? Do you really believe they could ever have been herbivore? And besides the teeth, cows have a tetracameral stomach, where there's a lot of time involved with digesting basically grass or whatever they eat, herbivore stuff, because there's a lot more time involved with processing lower calorie food in order to survive than otherwise, compared to that the cameral stomach of a cow with a smaller cameral belly of I don't know, a carnivore, whatever, like a lion, for example. Do you think that a lion could really have sustained itself on grass in the Garden of Eden?
I would say yes. Okay, let me respond to that. The thing is, first of all, God put a lot of variation within the animals. So one possibility is this is just a possibility, or this could have been, that the genetic pool was such that it had the potential that it were originally somewhat different, and then they varied somewhat in structure, as the generations went by, when the fall came about, and in that they became more, kind of adjusted to the carnivorous behavior. That's one aspect. The other aspect is that obviously I wouldn't even see, for example, cats and dogs from time to time, even now, they chew at grass if they want to clear their stomach. So I think that's a remnant of what they used to do, but not just that they ate grass, they used to eat like beans. And during that time, I believe, the beans would have been much bigger, and some beans might have been structured in such a coarse way that those teeth that carnivorous animals have would even come in more handy to get a grip over them before the other herbivorous animals could, which would be yet another possibility. And these are just two amongst many other possibilities that could.
All right. So, okay, I know that even dogs, eat grass and sometimes even ground, like, I know, little pebbles and such, but that doesn't make for a diet. It's just like they take it like medicine for when they have I'm talking real life right now. I mean, dogs and cats do eat grass. I'm not sure about cats. Dogs I know eat grass and soil.
I've seen a cat eat grass.
All right, even cats, but dogs as well. They do that, but they don't do it for a sustenance.
When they have upset stomachs.
Yeah, they do it for upset stomachs because it helps grind out whatever. I'm not going medical in this in this question, but they do it for a certain different thing than from ingesting sustenance, you know. So it doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I agree with you. They couldn't just sustain on grass, probably, given that the grass
That's a bit
wasn't that perfect. It could have been more perfect. That's one thing. Could have been more nutrients back. The nutrients could have been more back before the fall. That's one thing. But even if we say grass wasn't enough, let's say grass didn't have all the supplements even back then. We have beans. You know, beans. There's various kinds of beans, and if you put them all together, they could have very well sustained themselves and gotten all the proteins that they got.
Okay, let's say you're right.
I don't think a dog or a cat, if you keep it in captivity and then you just feed it some sort of vegetation diet, I don't think they're going to survive.
I think that even now, it could be possible that they would survive if you give them the right kind of feed, put the right kind of proteins.
They'll be sickly though, that's for sure.
I agree with John.
That we have to test that before we can make a conclusive.
No. They probably have.
They'll be sick.
Probably have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make any conclusions before we actually have done something.
No, I agree with Johnny on this, because nowadays we have a lot of vegetarians which do need human vegetarians, which do require just as well a lot of protein and stuff. But on the other hand, most vegetarians use really a high level of processed vegetables. They're not only eating they're basically not eating everything they eat raw. They process it in some way or another in order to sustain their lives, and they could serve it to dogs and such if they process it correctly. It could be that some dogs and cats could survive on, I know, soy meat replacements. They probably wouldn't be as healthy, but I think they could survive on that processed stuff. But 1,000 years ago, they wouldn't have not the means to start with. They wouldn't have the means to access all the stuff we can buy in stores right now, and then they wouldn't have the knowledge or the capability to process it in such a way as to become sustainable.
No, what I'm saying is that what we're doing today is, what I would say to this is that what we're doing today is when we process stuff, for example, what process, I think what you mean, we kind of grow the vegetation in such a way that it becomes more nutritious.
No. I mean they deep fry it. They do some other stuff to it that turns it more sustainable, basically.
Oh, yeah, but that's just for preservation purposes, right? Or to make it more tasty?
No, not to make it more tasty, but more sustainable as a means of calorie intake or whatever they need, proteins and such.
No, for example, when you take beans, right, the red beans, for example, we cook them because otherwise they're too hard. You know, people don't like, chewing on them like crazy, stuff like that. Otherwise, the protein amount, the more fresh it is, the more awesome the protein, right? I mean, the cooking only breaks down the protein even more, so it becomes harder for the body to reassemble them or take it in the way that it has to optimally take it. So I think that's more like that. And then we add upon the fact that if we go according to the Bible, that the plants even today are downgraded. Means the nutrient value of individual plants today is by far less than it was.
Yes, but is it really the fact? I mean, we know for certain right now that corn, for example, used to be just like a little bit of speck of weed back in the day, and now it turned because of GMOs, not in the sense we used today like in the lab, but GMO has always been around, like for example in tomatoes, in all the stuff in apple trees and everything. They used to be wild things, like the apple would be like 1 inch in diameter. The core, we know for certain, was just a little bit of weed, but gradually over time, when we've always tried to reseed the largest ones, we've basically GMO'd the fuck out of them, and nowadays we have these big ass corn.
That's yeah, I can explain. The thing is,
100 or not 100, but 500 or 1,000 years ago, it was a lot more.
What had happened here is that before the flood, I mean, we find an era where things were very, very big. Even the insects were big. Then came a period long after the fall, after the flood, like 3,000 years, I think, after the flood. Things, like you said, degraded to such a point where they became extremely small, but they still had what is called recessive genes in them. that means the gene to kind of, if you just knew how to reactivate them at that time, you could get what was before the fall, like big, fresh, nutrient stuff once again. So once we had the knowledge to find those deactivated genes, which were now on the brink of getting degraded and falling off, we got in and we reactivated those genes, and we once again got approximately, by far not as good as before the fall, but still good enough to get by big tomatoes, like you said, which we could once again.
Okay. I've seen a movie recently. Not that fun. It was supposed to be a comedy, but it was about two guys getting employed by Google, and in the interview part, they would ask this specific question: if you were sized down to, let's say, 2 inches high, and you were put in a blender, how would you escape that blender before it would turn on and smash you all into bits and place? And the correct answer would be, I would just jump out. They didn't know the answer, but basically the answer would be, I would just jump out. Now, I'm talking about this as a completion or whatever answer for you saying that even insects were bigger before the flood. Now, there's a certain size that some bodies have to be in order for their bodies to function. Like, for example, the human body couldn't be 5 feet, sorry, not 5 feet, 5 meters tall. 5 meters would roughly translate to 15 feet tall.
Of course, there's a limit. I agree with that.
Yeah, right. The same applies to insects. They couldn't function. They couldn't basically fly. Like bees, they couldn't fly as an insect if they were taken to scale to 10 times their size, or 5 or whatever. They
maybe
couldn't fly.
But 5 times or 4 times would still be okay.
Well, that's for you to
I agree. There's no, because they've
assess.
done these experiments. Even today, if you put them in a hyper-oxygized chamber, insects will even now grow 3 to 4 times the size.
They would, but would they still be able to function as they were before? You think so?
Yeah.
Well, in the case of human beings, giganticism caused by a glandular problem.
The pituitary gland, yeah.
Yeah, and these people reach extreme heights, like 9 feet. There's the worldest man the tallest man in the Guinness Book of World Records was like 9.5 feet tall, or just a little over 9 feet, and he had lots of physical problems. Problems with organs. There's a greater chance of organ failure, things like that. But when you're speaking of giants in the Bible, now Goliath is recorded in the Bible.
Yeah, but that's different. That's not.
Being
You're
6
not saying that the
cubits.
first humans were that big. That's a fact. Because
But what I'm saying is
those
it's
came
recorded in the
about.
Bible, and if you're going to take the Bible as accurate, then Goliath was recorded as being 6 cubits in a span, which is 9 feet, about 9 feet 9 inches tall, almost 10 feet. And I don't believe that these giants were human.
Exactly. They were a breed of the sons of God, and they came coming
Severe problems at that height. I don't believe these creatures were human.
That's why they were called Nephilim. They were a mixture, hybrids between the fallen angels and the daughters of the human beings.
And we know that there are creatures that are a lot bigger than humans. I mean, we've got bones of animals that lived in antiquity that
You could easily think about animals we have nowadays, like elephants and so on.
The body structures would have to be a bit different in order to support all the weight.
Right.
And they say that geometrically your weight increases so much geometrically that at a certain point you'd be crushed. You wouldn't even be able to breathe.
Yeah, all things have to be. You can't just increase one thing. For example, now since we have fallen so much and our gene has degraded so much at all levels, if you just get one thing back to normal, let's say the height, you try to make it like 8 feet. Let's say it was 8 feet back then. So you try to make it back to 8 feet. Then because of all the other deficiencies now, that is not going. The only factor that you're going to increase now is height. That's not going to be stable. You're going to then have a lot of problems. So all the factors have to be in place. The support then, because the more height you have, the more support, the more muscular strength, the more density of bones. All that needs to be adjusted too.
Yeah.
Also, you can't
I
be too
understand what
small.
you're saying, but that's pseudoscience. I mean, you're talking about a subset of the human body that needs to be in a certain way, and that's right. Some things like bones should be more supportive of a different height, but then there's some things in the human body that couldn't be scaled. Like, for example, have you ever cracked your fingers and you hear that pop? There's a solution between the joints. Now that solution cannot be scaled. It's just a certain way that it is, and it cannot take the pressures. I mean, a bone you could make bigger or larger or stronger, but that solution is just a solution. You couldn't make it harder or whatever. It's just the way it looks like.
Yeah, if you have really long bones as well, they'll break much better.
That have bones that are, I believe, many times harder than those of a.
Yeah, you could have all the bones. All the bones you want. You could have all the bones, but the inner joints wouldn't. In fact, even nowadays, the tallest people on Earth, they don't have problems with bones. They have problems with the joints because of that liquid between the joints. That's the problem.
Yeah, because the tendons are not strong enough.
It's not the tendons.
Look at the problems that people have when they're dwarves. Dwarvisms, they're susceptible to a lot of problems as well. Because their bodies are not proportioned right, because the organs have to be a certain size, and if your height is not not between a certain portion, if it's like really small, like say you only grow to be about 3.5 feet tall, then your organs aren't going to be fitted right in your body, and you're going to have other issues. You're going to have other problems. And so people who suffer from dwarfism end up having physical problems later in life.
No, I understand there's a limit to the body, but for example, between 5 and 6.5 feet, I mean, even today we see that people do relatively fine. There's not much problem between that range.
Yeah, you're right. There's a certain physical height that a human body can have. Other than that, beyond that, you're talking magic. Or
that's why we don't say in the Bible the first man was like 20 feet tall. No, that's not what anybody says.
Yeah, I agree with
that. Did he have a nipple?
Do you think that the first man was 20 feet tall?
No, that's
okay. I thought you did for a second there.
Yeah.
No, just the opposite.
How do you know the first man wasn't 20 feet tall?
No, brother, because look, the thing is that's not what because the biggest bones that we have, I think that I have seen is kind of like 8 feet, if I remember correctly.
8 feet?
Well, most people on Earth have anything to do with
not seen like the others. We do find instances of the giants in the Bible, but those are Nephilim, meaning those are not human beings.
How do we know by bones what they were like, though?
What?
Yeah, you're sounding kind of bad in MG42.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time you every time you talk while I'm talking, it cuts me off. So if you guys, can just let me say this, you'll all hear what I'm saying. Just got to give me a chance to say it, and I'll get it out. My question to Johnny is, how do we know the first people were not or were like something by finding bones that are not the first people?
No, I understand. I didn't make a definite statement. That's true.
Is that we find bones in the group of humans. We find very large bones. Sometimes we find armor. Even in Arizona here, we found armor plating for the chest plate to be 4 feet long. That still has nothing to do with what the first human beings are like. So we'd still, anything to assume the first persons on Earth, the first family, the first Adam and Eve on Earth, what they were like is all assumption. We have no idea if they were 6 feet tall or 50 feet tall. It's all.
I'll tell you how I got the idea. I'll let you know how I got the idea. When we look at human beings today, like you said, the support structure and all of that, we can kind of estimate a range beyond which it would all start to crumble. Like for insects, we can have a certain range, and for human beings, we can estimate. And given on that, we can say, okay, this could be the maximum healthy range that they could have been. And then, of course, we know that under oxygen chambers, everything grows taller, and the oxygen content was more, and everything was more like that. And from that, I'm estimating that could have been the case.
Right, so which one do you pick, Tony? Do you pick uniformitarianism, which is how things are now, must have been how they were in the past, or do you pick, we find things in the fossil record that are often 3 times the size as normal living creatures, such as the dragonfly? We have found dragonflies that are probably 20 pounds heavy.
I agree with that. I agree.
Right.
That's for insects.
So if you just look at that means everything was. That means we were dealing with a different world. We had a higher oxygen content, a higher air pressure.
Right.
So everything was different. Everything could have been much bigger and been just fine.
I would say definitely so. When it comes to insects, they're definitely much bigger. When it comes to humans, I'm not sure about that. So I'm not gonna be dogmatic on that how much bigger they were, but I definitely would say those fossils of humans that we have. I don't know how. What did you say, MG4? How about what's the biggest that they found? Human fossil. How much bigger was that than a human today? The average human today, that is.
I'm not even going to call it a fossil. I know that they have found some armored chest plates that are 4 feet long. They have found axes that are 10 feet long. Who swings a 10-foot long axe with a 50-pound axe head?
Okay, but I think those were the Nephilim. I would say those were the Nephilim.
I'm not even done. My point is that the Nephilim were after the first people. It still gives us absolutely no idea of how the first people were. But here's the deal, Johnny, we find rhinoceros twice the size of elephants. So if a human were even to get 50% larger than that, you could have 12, 15 foot tall people. If you can have a 25 foot tall rhinoceros, my God, that's literally 60,000 pounds of rhinoceros.
Where are these bones and things?
50% more than they would be like a 9 foot tall human, because today we have the average. No, not the average is not even 6. The average is 5.5.
Did you hear Vin? Johnny, did you hear what Vin said? He wants to know where the bones are. Vin, have you been to every museum on the planet?
Have you?
I'm asking you. You're the one asking me where the bones are. So you're saying you've been to every museum on the planet?
No, have you?
No, that's the point, though. I have obviously researched
There's
this.
a museum out there that contains 20-foot human armor right now.
No, that's what I'm saying is that you don't know it's not, and now you're questioning it because you don't do research. So now you're asking this question is if you know that
research.
It's all over the internet. Everybody has access to this guy.
Oh, it's on the internet. It must be true. Okay, I get it. Yeah, okay.
I can't talk about. Oh, you're right. You can get your education off the internet and decide what's in museums, right? You can tell me what's in museums.
No,
you do know that
where these museums are. Why you?
Apparently, you've been to every museum on Earth. Congratulations, that you missed the giant
museum. Where is this museum that has your evidence?
You got a little ways to go.
Google Maps. I don't know.
MG.
Yeah, we can have guys. We can have a separate hangout for that. I think.
Go over me every time you do it, though. You're just going to interrupt me. You're cutting me off every time you're talking when I'm trying to talk because you don't know what you're talking about. Listen for 1 second to what you're saying. Because you don't know that these things exist, you're acting as if they don't exist. If you don't research or know about large mammals such as large elephants and large rhinoceros that are now extinct, that is not my problem. That is your problem, and you are the one who needs to find out about these animals, not the people that know about the animals.
Okay, now I'm asking you where these are.
Yeah, you're interrupting me again. You notice how this doesn't work. Every time you interrupt me and I'm talking, it's not going to work. My point is, they have found these in the last 100 years. These are nothing new. How do you not know it? You do know we find dinosaur bones, right? You do know about dinosaurs.
MG? Can I ask a question, MG?
Go ahead, bro.
All right, MG, how many of these armors, these largest armors, have they found?
I know of only one. I know of some axes. I know of some tools. I also know of the bones in North America of the giant red-headed people that the Native Americans still talk about. And
how high?
They speak of red-headed people in caves that were many times larger than normal people. And that was just in the last few thousand years.
You see, you keep saying they speak of. Like, I want to know where this actually is. Who's this they?
Let's just say that archaeologists or whatever. But I'm the 24. I hope I'm not interrupting. But I have a question. Like the first question I put is how many of these armors they found, and I believe the number was 1. I might be wrong. Just one
that's
set of
all I
armor.
know. They have probably found much more than that. And that's the thing, is that we don't know what we don't know. So I don't know this group that just went out to Siberia and found all those new things and new ancient technology, or there's, whatever you want to find. I mean, it's part of history. Nobody on Earth knows all of the findings of history, but I'm just talking about what I know personally. You see.
All right. I understand that. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna offer a different explanation to, not a different, but an explanation to this. As long as it's only one armor, it could be one of several things. First that comes into my mind, it could be just an armor they built for a statue. Second would be maybe a reason to discourage foreign troops to invade when they see a certain armor. So even though this might sound ridiculous, and it could be, it still is more plausible that they've built those armors 3 feet high, just the chest plate 3 feet high, or whatever. I'm not sure about the measurement, but huge armors, just to discourage possible invaders or attackers, and secondly, just to mount it on a statue. I think this, even though it could be ridiculous, it's much more plausible than the laws of physics would have just changed for some certain Nephilims, or whatever you might call it, to exist, because it's just much more plausible. These armors were built for a different purpose.
Right. That's an interesting perspective, but you see, that's a lot of assumption based on the fact that you already have your mind made up. You've already made up your mind that people used to be smaller, that gradually. But you got to let me finish. Hold on. You've already made up your mind about this subject, and you are looking or hearing about evidence that you don't agree with already. So you're trying to find already reasons, and hold on. You got to let me finish. You are already trying to find reasons to discredit evidence that other people know of by assuming and making these assumptions that you have just claimed. Here's the problem with that, is that throughout history, we have written down the information about these giants. So all of history actually collaborates with the fact that these large people used to exist. So you'd have to disagree with all of history as well. And the fact that you can't base it off of an atmosphere like we have today. Back then, you got to realize the atmosphere was very different. That's why we find things in the layers of the earth, such as the Cretaceous and Jurassic, that are much larger than they are today, such as crocodiles 75 feet long, or grasshoppers a foot long, or cockroaches 2 feet long, or scorpions 3 feet long, or dragonflies that could have weighed 15 or 20 pounds. This is a very different atmosphere. The laws of physics never change pressure. So the air pressure change is what made everything change. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Oh. Can I answer now? Okay. So, all right, you were talking about huge as grasshoppers and all sorts of insects and animals like crocodiles. First of all, the atmosphere has a small influence, an infinitely smaller influence on the size a body can take, as opposed to gravity.
Well, how do you know that, though? Why do you believe that? How do you know
gravity is the one that pose you problems with.
Okay, so hold on 1 second. Okay, let me ask you a question real quick. I'm going to go on your side right now. So you don't know. I'm going to assume that
no.
Superman, you don't know about the hyperbaric chambers that scientists have proven that plants and animals will get much larger under air pressures that are increased with higher oxygen levels. They've used these hyperbaric chambers, and they've made plants triple in size. They have made people heal 4 times faster than normal. And obviously, and they've also raised fish, and the fish such as, what are they called, piranha, have actually tripled in size as well under these hyperbaric conditions. And coincidentally, we find amber, which shows that the air pressure of these air bubbles trapped in the amber is much higher. So it perfectly fits the fact that the air pressure has a massive difference, a massive change in the size, because your body absorbs much more oxygen in much easier ways because of the pressure. This is already scientifically proven. This is called hyperbaric chambers.
No, I understand. First of all, let's turn back to what you said about that one breastplate being that huge. Now, have we found 10 of them, or 20, or 1,000 of them? Then it was easy to assume that there might have been an army of people that high. Since you have only one armor that large, it stands to reason that it could And I never said it was that fact. I just posted an idea. I never said it has been that.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So you're telling me, so if they find 1,000 of these armors, then how would you feel? Right. Okay. So you're saying probably you'd probably change your mind.
Right.
Yeah. So you're basing it on such a rare case. Well, here's the thing you got to realize, though, bro. Sometimes we don't find things that existed, and we'll never know that they actually existed. Just because we didn't find them doesn't mean they didn't exist. You see?
Yeah, it's the same with the flying.
There might even be some hidden. Yeah, there might be some hidden dinosaurs. Right. We don't. Right. Remember, there could be hidden dinosaurs that we don't know about that existed because we haven't found them. There could be insects that we didn't know about that existed because we haven't found them. You see what I'm saying? There's many things that we'll never know about because we can't find them because they were destroyed in flood, or because you got to realize things just don't sit around and last. The law of entropy is a constant and will destroy everything eventually.
No, you are right. Just because we don't find certain things, that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't exist. That's a given. Like, for example, this past week, maybe month, there's been some speculation that we might have 2 other planets farther away from the solar system that they still could be planets considered in our solar system. It could be right. It could be right. But usually you take what you have and you usually just come up with the most plausible thing. I mean, like, for example, in your case, you have 1 armor. I mean, I don't know, if there would have been an army of huge, ginormous people, I can easily see that you couldn't find all of them. That's a given. You couldn't always find all of the armor. But you easily could have found 2 of them. Or 3.
Well, that's.
I mean, an army is not built of 5 people. It's built of thousands of people. Am I right?
But here's the deal: is that we don't need the armor though because we found many bones. We found many giant skeletons though. So
I know you said that before. Where can I see
all you gotta do is type in giant skeletons, and you're going to get literally millions of different articles online if you Google that. I've been studying this for 5 years. They are real. They're mentioned in every single historical culture around the earth. I mean, maybe second to dragons, but giants are just a known part of history, bro. That's all I'm telling you. That giants are real. There's been more evidence for giants existing than there is that Alexander the Great ever existed.
Can I go back to the armor and the weapons for a second? Can I ask what period they resemble or would be from?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to assume without reading all these there's just so many thousands of articles on giants in history. We should probably do a study night on it sometime. We can go over.
No, but I mean like the actual. No, I mean the physical armor that was found in the weapons, because I can account for large weapons that humans couldn't wield. They could be ceremonial. There are a lot of weapon makers that do make showpieces.
Because you already have your mind made up. Yeah, you already have your mind made up.
I'm talking about modern versions. So you know about modern farming.
Right, you're comparing modern versions with history, which is completely irrelevant.
You gotta let me finish the sentence first. No, what I'm saying is that. No, what I'm saying is.
You're not open to the actual information. You're already coming up with excuses before you've researched the subject.
I'm actually trying to support you, but if you don't let me finish the sentence...
You're being intellectually dishonest, though. If you were being intellectually honest, you'd be saying, maybe I should go look some of this up instead of coming up with conclusions or assumptions that push this reality away from me.
Maybe if you put a link in the side
So what was the period of the breastplate that it was... that I can look up then? What breastplate am I looking up that was 4 foot long? And what axe with the 50-pound head? What should I search for that?
You have to believe this because your entire belief on the actual existence of the entire galaxy and the world and the universe.
No, I'm asking you for a reference that I can look up.
You believe so much that's not true, it's impossible to show you reality because you believe in so much pseudoscience like evolution.
Guys,
but you weren't telling me what to look up.
Before you go on, guys, let me just.
Why is it that
I wanted to talk about the weapons, and you're not.
Johnny, I'm going to say my last thing. Everybody who believes in evolution can't understand real science and actual the world that they live in. They have to stick to this psychopathic idea that man grew over time, and now they've reached their actual peak of the height.
Nope.
Okay,
It completely contradicts their theory of evolution. It always goes back to their belief in pseudoscience.
Why is actually
guys, I'm gonna end the
Right, so some of the explanations for incredibly large weapons would be for ceremonial use showpieces. They would be almost like taking a really good car to a car show. You want to show something that's extra special.
Right.
While I don't doubt there were things that humans couldn't wield, we can actually date and reference a lot of weapons like this. They do appear in a lot of museums. He's right. There are oversized weapons in a lot of museums. I can name one in the UK you can go and look up. You can see huge weapons that no human could ever possibly wield. Now, does that necessarily mean they were wielded by giants? I don't think so. But the examples do exist of huge sets of armor and things like that. It's what is the inference to explain why they were made? There's Japanese swords that we can date. They've got the maker's mark on them. There's signatures. You can tell. There's reference to them. Whether or not they were wielded by giants, I don't think so. But the large weapons and armor do exist. But they're again, if he would have said some sort of reference, I could looked it up and I could have seen what period they were from.
Guys, can anybody hear me?
We could have looked at the metalwork that went into it, what
I
period
can
that
hear you,
related
but
to.
they keep talking over you.
You know,
so.
there's a lot of stuff we could have done there, but he just didn't really. I wanted to look into it really, but it's interesting, you know.
Ray, I'm asking you, can you hear what I'm saying? I said we've been way off topic, but that's okay because I'm gonna.
I don't think it was off topic, but yeah.
Then you can keep on talking because I really want to wrap it up now. Thank you.
Hey, Johnny, can we spend like 15 minutes punching out David Weiser?
What?
What do you want to
Can we
punch
spend 15 minutes punching out David Weiser, if you don't mind?
Well, but
Love your
I
enemies,
don't know even. I don't know exactly who David Weiser is.
Setting here, gosh.
That's him there. I just want to spend the last 15 minutes slapping him around a little bit, if you don't mind.
Oh man, I don't want to.
You can have a 5-minute back and forward. 15 minutes.
Can I slap you back?
Does anybody know who Lewis is?
Yeah, do me a favor, Sabella. If you love me like a sister, I need you to go ahead and boot Lewis. He's not allowed around me ever.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, I don't know this Pillbox very well, but I've heard a lot of bad stuff about him.
Well, Pillbox is a member of my family.
But the thing is, why is it when you ask someone a simple question like, where's the reference to a certain thing, and automatically, and that's him saying that you're now supporting the other side of the argument, when all you want to do is just clarify a fact.
Okay, you claim to be an evolutionist, right, David?
No, I'm not an evolutionist. I don't know what you
said
mean by
you believe in evolution.
I believe that, yeah, evolution's a fact, yeah.
It's not a fact, David.
Yes, it is.
It's not a fact.
Evolution is a fact.
Hey, show me where it's a fact.
The science of vaccinations.
That's evolution.
It's a theory. It's not a fact, bro. And don't say that science gets to change the word
fact that we create
evolution
new
is
vaccines,
changing allele frequencies over time.
the fact that we can create new vaccines is proof that evolution is true.
Does anybody know who this is?
Just let him in. The hangout's almost over.
Is he a homophobe? If so, let him in.
I don't know. It's just blank screen.
Also, Kiprian, you and I are going to have some serious issues.
No, it's not.
I don't like your attitude, and I might be removing you from this community. So just step out of line again and see what happens.
So right, we're not basically.
Frank can't help but be a tough guy.
You're gonna have an issue.
He loves his enemies.
I will literally pick you up by your face, son, and toss you from zip code to zip code. Don't
Go right ahead.
Just as Jesus would.
I'm not Jesus.
I know you're not Jesus.
Exactly. So quit
He'd be
acting
disappointed
like I
in
am.
you, wouldn't he?
No, he isn't actually. He's quite happy with what I do.
Sure he is.
I can guarantee
You keep
he's a lot
tricking yourself.
happier with what I do than with what you do.
Really?
Oh, 100%, bro. 100%.
I don't kick people off YouTube. Just
no. But you try to take people's salvation. You think YouTube is more important than salvation?
As you.
I'm bringing people. I'm bringing people to the Lord, bro. You're pushing people away. Do you think you're going to have a better time in judgment than Rand Campbell?
Can you prove judgment actually happens?
Oh, absolutely.
How? Go on.
Have you ever been judged in this world?
Oh, you know what I mean. It's no place semantics.
Have you ever been judged in this world?
When I said judgment, I meant your God's judgment.
Who's God? He's your God too.
Whatever.
Oh my goodness.
There's no need to play semantics, Ram. I'm not going into this.
Like you're not talking. Like you're not talking.
Judgment. Have you ever been judged in this? You know what I mean.
You're not talking to the stump in your backyard, bro. You're talking to a grown man. If you're going to talk,
exactly.
Make sure you talk
stop
to a
playing
grown
stupid
man.
mind
Don't
games.
talk
Just
to me like you're
answer the
talking to a
question.
stump, son. I have a hard time dealing with stupidity, and that's why I don't deal with you people in any other way than I would a stupid person. So if you're going to talk to me, come to me like a man, please.
You first.
I don't tolerate stupidity, bro. I'm not like these other people here on YouTube just looking for a voice and a place to talk and somebody to talk to. You talk to me, you got to come to me like a man, or I will treat you like a punk every single time.
Yep. So manly.
You really have to go there, Rand.
I'm just letting them know, David. You know what I'm like. You and I have been talking for years now. You and I have been talking for a couple of years now. You know how I am. There are a lot of atheists that would say Rand Campbell is a really nice, sweet, gentle man. And then there are those that would say that I am a really harsh thug and an asshole and a prick and all those things.
I know there's
a reason.
Hey, listen. Hey, guys.
There's a reason for that. The reason is that I treat people the way that they deserve to be treated based on the way that they treat people.
Hold on. Hey, guys, real quick for a second. Johnny, can you go ahead and end this hangout, man?
Yeah, I was about to end it. I had.
Yeah, can you just go ahead and end this hangout, bro?
Yeah, I want to have. Hey, Roy, can you hear me, Brother Roy Montero? Because I want to have him the last word and.
Yeah, Johnny, I'm here.
Yeah, Brother Roy. We've been talking about feminism, MGTOW, LGBT community, and Thunderf00t. Did you? I want you to have the last word. Just take about 3 or maybe even 5 minutes if you want to, and say something if you, because probably you have something to say about that. So I wanted to give you the last word since you came in late and you couldn't say something. And I'll end
yeah, I don't know what's already been said about all of that. I just have something quick to say, and that is, if it's edifying, I'm in. If it's not, I'm out. And so feminism, let's take that one really quick. Yeah, by its definition, I think we don't need feminism as much as we need women to understand, and men, let me say that again, and men to understand the role of a woman, first as their mother, then maybe as a sister, definitely as a friend, and then eventually as a wife. And if you do that in that order, you'll be just fine. So I get why women may be a little up in arms because of some of the men. But yeah, going to an extreme and crossing the line is not a good thing. So the last word on that I'll say is, if any woman says I can go this planet without a man, if she's not so bent, then no, that can't happen. And if you're doing that as a movement, no, that's ridiculous. You're united not, you're divided, and everything's going to fall, including, you know, all of your relationships. So yeah,
Thank you. All I wanted to say about